Chapter 1863. Curious and puzzled? Young Master Ming's answer left Dustless speechless. A Confucian disciple giving up the position of sect master was indeed a fantasy. After all, that position was once fought over by countless Confucian disciples. If you're curious and puzzled, I feel that you're even more difficult to figure out. Dustless looked at young Master Ming, whose face was covered by a veil, and felt somewhat surprised. Including this meeting, he and young Master Ming had only met twice, and their relationship was not good. Especially in the last competition, when Dustless defeated young Master Ming. And this time, it was the same. As a proud daughter of the heavens, young Master Ming was probably traumatized by it. But at this moment, young Master Ming had completely forgotten the past, and was even willing to sacrifice himself and the Confucian alliance. Dustless could not help but think of a saying. The parents' orders, the matchmaker's words. Both sides of the marriage have no right to choose. This was the case for ancient people when they got married and had children. They had no right to choose. So obedient. Seeing young Master Ming, who did not even blink, as if everything was as it should be, Dustless smacked his lips, but he still remained silent. The thinking of a modern person was completely different from that of the ancient people. Some of the views of modern people were deviant in the eyes of the ancient people. On the contrary, in the eyes of Dustless, the thinking of the ancient people was also inflexible in the eyes of modern people. Take young Master Ming in front of him for example. She was asked to marry, and the person was an enemy with whom she had a grudge. However, young Master Ming did not say a word because of the orders of the school of Yinyang. In Dustless's eyes she was really stubborn. On the contrary, young Master Ming's behavior was normal in the eyes of the ancient people, such as Fu Nian and the others. I said that I have something to deal with. Forgive me for not accompanying you. Cupping his hands, Dustless brushed past her. Wait, from now on, you're not allowed to hide anything from me. Her body trembled slightly, and like a shadow, young Master Ming once again blocked in front of Dustless. Ah! Hearing this, Dustless subconsciously cried out, and said in confusion, "This is just a deal. You don't have to be so serious. Just put on an act. I won't make things difficult for you. As for the marriage, you don't have to be." No. Unexpectedly, before Dustless could finish his sentence, Xiaoxi Ming's tone was no longer as aloof as before. She repeated, "This is His Excellency East Emperor's order, not a real show. No matter what, the school of Yinyang and the school of Confucianism must be connected through marriage. As long as you and I get married, the school of Yinyang will be able to easily crush the school of Confucianism, which is the most powerful of the 100 schools of thought. When that time comes, the confidence of the other traders will be greatly affected, and they might even collapse." Young Master Ming's tone was several times louder than before. Her pretty face had a serious expression that had never been seen before. F***ck. Dustless was shocked after being stunned for a moment. He thought to himself, this guy looks so serious. Does young Master Ming really want to have a wedding night with me? I'm afraid he's been brainwashed by the Yinyang family. Sigh, what a pity. Dustless opened his mouth, but swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He stared at young Master Ming, whose face was covered by a veil, and said unhappily, "You keep saying that I'm not allowed to hide anything from you. But you're wearing a veil when talking to me. Isn't this?" Before Dustless could finish his sentence, young Master Ming's sudden action stunned him. Young Master Ming took off the transparent veil on her face in a carefree manner, revealing a stunning face. Her jade-like face was flawless, and her facial features were even. Even if you used a microscope, you wouldn't be able to find any flaws. Her skin was fair, her skin was smooth, and her bones were jade-like. Her entire body exuded an ethereal aura, as if she was a fairy who had descended from the heavens. Young Master Ming's eyebrows were long and thin, and they were set in her eye sockets. Compared to them, the stars in the sky were like fireflies, not worth mentioning. I can't believe I got distracted while looking at a woman. After a while, Dustless, who had regained his senses, subconsciously slapped his forehead. If Xing Hun had ambushed him just now, perhaps he would have been beheaded already. Am I that ugly? Seeing Dustless's bitter smile, young Master Ming's hands tightened slightly. She blinked her eyes, seeming a little nervous. That's not it. You're perfect. Dustless shook his head like a rattledrum. He had seen countless beauties, and was a true veteran in the field of flowers. He was already immune to beautiful women, but when he saw young Master Ming's stunning appearance, he couldn't help but be stunned. If that's the case, I have nothing to hide from you now. You have to do the same. You're not allowed to hide anything from me in the future, young Master Ming said in a non-negotiable tone. We'll talk about it in the future. Dustless nodded perfunctorily. Young Master Ming's words went in one ear and out the other. Everyone, I'll cut to the chase. There's a new change. After Zhang Liang was chased away by Fu Nian from the Mo family's stronghold deep in the mountains, he rushed over without stopping to discuss countermeasures with the Mo family members and their new ally, Liu Sha. The school of Yinyang wants to form an alliance with the Confucian family, and the disciples of both sides have already set a marriage contract. Zhang Liang's words made everyone frown. This won't do. If the Confucian family is absorbed by the school of Yinyang without any bloodshed, the anti-Qin forces will definitely suffer a heavy blow. Gao Jianli raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "We'll assassinate one of them and ignite the conflict between the two sides." That's right. No matter what, we can't let them get together. Otherwise, it will be a disaster for the world. Zhang Liang echoed. In fact, his plan was to assassinate one of them, and use this as an excuse to ignite the conflict between the school of Yinyang and the Confucian family. This way, they would return to being on opposite sides. Everyone, I already have a detailed secret plan, but I still need your help. Chapter 1864. Secret Plan. Hearing this, everyone's interest was piqued and they all looked at Zhang Liang expectantly. Although I am a member of the Confucian school, and I am the third master of the Confucian school, but I firmly oppose the Confucian school joining the Qin Kingdom's camp. However, I think you all know the situation inside the Confucian school. I am not the only one who has the authority. Above me, there are two senior brothers. Zifang. What do you mean? Qi Lian couldn't help but ask. Her seductive eyes were filled with a rare confusion. From Zhang Liang's words, she smelled an unusual murderous intent. The people present were not idiots. They were all sly old foxes. After pondering over Zhang Liang's words, they understood what he wanted to say. Could it be that you want to kill your two senior brothers, and replace them? The person who asked the question had silver hair and narrowed eyes. His whole body radiated a powerful aura that was extremely oppressive. Breathing was 10 times more difficult than usual. If Zhang Liang assassinated Fu Nian and Yan Lu, the third master of the Confucian school, he could also ascend to the position of the head of the Confucian school. Although I don't get along well with senior brother, there is no need to go to that extent. Zhang Liang just shook his head casually, but his eyes were particularly firm. Then how are we going to deal with the alliance between the Yinyang school and the Confucian school? Zifang, don't tell me you want to kill the Confucian disciple who married the Yinyang school? Old Man Ban asked in disgust. Assassinating one's own people was really dirty. Master Ban, you must be joking. Hearing this, Zhang Liang just smiled bitterly and sighed. You may not know, but the Confucian disciple who married the Yinyang school's young master is dustless. What? Dustless? The people of the Mo family were stunned. They raised their voices in disbelief and panic. In other words, Dustless intends to join the Yinyang school. I don't believe it. Dustless is not that kind of person. Duan Murong was the first to stand up and oppose. Her bright eyes were as bright as the stars. She didn't believe that Dustless would betray the Mo family. At that time, I felt that he was suspicious. Ever since he appeared, the Mo family never stopped doing certain things. Gao Jianli immediately stood out and expressed a different opinion. Right, Ashue? Gao Jianli looked at the Snow Lady expectantly. However, Gao Jianli was destined to be slapped in the face this time. Is there some misunderstanding? I also feel that Dustless is not that kind of person. Although he is a bit sloppy, he does things with principles. It was extremely rare for the Snow Lady to express her opinion of Gao Jianli, and this caused everyone to be astonished. One had to understand that Gao Jianli and the Snow Lady had always been inseparable in the past, and they would advance and retreat together. Now because of a dustless, there was ambiguity, which really surprised everyone. Dustless, that kid. Seeing this, Gao Jinli's expression immediately changed, and his breathing became heavy. His right hand couldn't help but grab Yishui Han. The Snow Lady actually had a different opinion from him, and Gao Jinli couldn't help but place all the blame on Dustless. Ever since this kid had appeared, the hearts of the Mo family members had started to show signs of falling apart. The Snow Lady was still fine, although she would sometimes change sides at the last minute, such as now. Gao Jinli still believed in her. In the Mo family, especially Duan Murong, it was as if she had been bewitched, and she had a kind of blind trust in Dustless. Everyone, please don't misunderstand. It wasn't Dustless who initiated the marriage with the Yinyang school. This time, the person who randomly matched the couple was young Master Fu Su. Zhang Liang mentioned an important person that no one expected. So what? Even if it was Dustless who rashly interfered, Dustless can't get away from this matter. Gao Jinli snorted coldly, and didn't appreciate it. There are so many disciples in the Confucian school. Why did they choose Dustless? This is a question that deserves to be explored. I still believe in him. Duan Murong didn't care about Gao Jinli's doubts. She still believed that Dustless wouldn't harm the Mo family. However, deep in her eyes, there was an unprecedented sadness brewing. The marriage partner is the Yinyang school's young arbiter Ming? Duan Murong stared at Zhang Liang, her voice trembling. That's right. I heard that the marriage will be held in the Confucian school's Little Sage Manor, so I've decided to secretly kill young arbiter Ming. This way, the Yinyang school will definitely be angry with the Confucian school. After all, she died in the Little Sage Manor. Although Zhang Liang's voice was frivolous, it was as firm as a rock. It was clear that he was serious. But this way, the Confucian school will also be greatly harmed and will definitely be severely punished, Gunye said with a frown. Although Zhang Liang's plan sounded good, it would also harm the Confucian school. Zhang Liang was a member of the Confucian school, and now he wanted to harm the Confucian school. There's no other way. This is the only way I can think of right now, Confucius said. Fish is what I desire. Bear paws are also what I desire. If I can't have both, I'll give up the fish for the bear paws. Life is also what I desire. Righteousness is also what I desire. If I can't have both, I'll give up my life for righteousness. Zhang Liang spoke of the Confucian school's classics. It was clear that he wanted to give up on the Confucian school and walk down the path of darkness. Of course, it wasn't accurate to say that he was harming the Confucian school. According to Zhang Liang's understanding, he was using another method to save the Confucian school. He had always believed that the Qin state, which couldn't win the hearts of the people, would be destroyed sooner or later, and the Confucian school, which was attached to the Qin state, would also be destroyed sooner or later. As such, it was better to break up this alliance as soon as possible. It was worth it to pay a small price to part ways with the Qin state. Although the Confucian school would be affected to a certain extent, it wasn't a big deal. Fighting the Qin state wasn't a game, and some necessary sacrifices were inevitable. When Dustless and young arbiter Ming get married, I'll tell you the time. At that time, we can all sneak into the Little Sage Manor and kill young arbiter Ming. Chapter 1865. Shaoxing Manor. Since Dustless agreed to ally with the Yinyang school, Fu Nian, who was overjoyed, decorated the Shaoxing Manor with red lanterns everywhere. It was very festive. Many places were also cleaned up. The Shaoxing Manor was full of joy. Those who didn't know would think that Fu Nian was married. However, it was normal. Fu Nian, who wanted the Confucian school to soar, had not achieved his goal yet, but the day when the Confucian school soared to the sky was finally closer. Among the 100 schools of thought, the strength of the Yinyang school was unquestionable. After the Confucian school formed an alliance with it, it was equivalent to an indirect relationship with the state of Qin. Because of Dustless, young Master Fu Su had a good impression of the Confucian school. When Fu Nian was dreaming, he had already seen the Confucian school of thought unifying the world, and the golden age of literature. This word is pronounced as loyalty. Write it for me. In a certain room, Fu Nian taught Dustless how to read. It was particularly sad. The ancient characters were really difficult to write. Dustless said that it was stressful to look at them, let alone write them. What a monster! Seeing Dustless's cold sweat, Funyan's thoughts were subverted. Dustless's attainments in martial arts made even him, the head of the Confucian school, feel ashamed and amazed. However, as for literature, it was really not flattering. So far, Dustless couldn't even write his own name. Sometimes he even needed Tianming and Xiaoyu to write for him. Cough, cough, cough. Seeing Funyan fall into a reverie again, Dustless had to cough twice to pull his thoughts back to reality. Zichen, you have made such a great contribution to the Confucian school. I definitely can't treat you unfairly. Funyan stared at Dustless and finally nodded with satisfaction. It was fine if he didn't have talent in literature. In this chaotic world, if he wanted to live without worries, he still had to rely on his fists. Listening to your tone, it seems that you intend to give me benefits. Hearing this, Dustless's eyes lit up. He said respectfully, "It is my duty to take the lead for the Confucian school. In the future, if there is anything that I can do, I will not refuse." Not bad, you're worth teaching. Funyan nodded with a smile. Then he thought of something. His eyes suddenly darkened. He said to himself, I hope that Zifang can be tactful. Don't make a big mess during this period of time. Otherwise, I can only do business according to the rules. Hee, you're destined to be disappointed this time. Hearing this, Dustless laughed coldly in his heart and decisively added fuel to the fire. Recently, Third Grandmaster has been in contact with some mysterious people. Most of them are not from the Confucian school, but from other sects in the Jianghu. Other sects. Hearing this, a cold light shot out from the depths of Funyan's eyes as he asked, Where did you see it? How was that group of people? How strong were they? Do you know him? Funyan asked a series of questions, and looked at Dustless expectantly. With a sinister smile in his heart, Dustless pretended not to know. That group of people was very strange. There was a tall man with silver hair. I heard Third Grandmaster call him Wei Zhuang. There was also a woman with good strength who was good at playing with snakes. There was also a man who liked to be in the limelight, who could stand on the head of a bird. I don't know his name. Could it be? Hearing this, Funyan's face changed greatly. He quickly asked, Is that woman called Qi Lian and Baifeng? Yes, that's right. Suddenly slapping his forehead, Dustless said with great certainty, Third Grandmaster often meets with them. I don't know what they are discussing. Perhaps they are discussing the future of the Confucian school. Dustless deliberately lowered his voice and looked at Funyan with a hidden meaning. For the future of the Confucian school? If Zifang doesn't cause me a big trouble, it would be a blessing from the heavens. Funyan suddenly snorted and angrily smashed the teacup on the table. Then, under Dustless's gaze, he left angrily. There will be a good show to watch now. Wu Chen followed with a lazy pace. If he didn't guess wrong, it was estimated that he was going to find trouble with Zhang Liang. At this critical moment, Zhang Liang, the third master of the Confucian school, didn't help. How could Funyan tolerate it? Zhang Liang was the third master of the Confucian school. It's best to kick Zhang Liang out of the Confucian school. Chuckling, Dustless also decisively followed. Anyway, he had nothing to do. Bang. Usually there were only 4 figures in the reception hall, but the atmosphere was tense, especially Funyan, who was sitting in the master's seat. He looked down at the 3 figures below with a face full of fire. Of course, his eyes were mainly focused on the head of the young man in the middle. Zifang, you actually colluded with the people of Quicksand? They are rebels of the empire. Funyan, a volcano that had been accumulating for a long time, erupted. As soon as he came up, he angrily scolded. Bastard! Have you even forgotten the teachings of the Confucian school? You actually colluded with rebels. Do you want the Confucian school to become a laughingstock? As the third master of the Confucian school, you actually went against the teachings of the Confucian school. This is simply a great shame. The Confucian school paid attention to self-cultivation and was modest and gentle like jade. As the head of the Confucian school, Funyan was even more so. However, Zhang Liang's actions this time had indeed exceeded the limit of Funyan's tolerance. which was why Fu Nian was so angry. He had worked hard for the sake of the Confucian school. Not only did this deceitful junior brother not help him, but he also came to undermine him. How does senior brother know that I have dealings with quicksand? Hearing this, Zhang Liang's face slightly stiffened. He subconsciously looked at Dustless standing on the left. Seeing the smile that was not a smile, a strong sense of foreboding quietly spread in his heart. Senior brother, this is a rumor. After thinking about it, Zhang Liang decisively refused to admit it. Chapter 1866. Zhang Liang also had no choice. Some things could be admitted, but some things could never be admitted. Zifang. Lulu sighed. When he saw Zhang Liang's expression that it had nothing to do with him, he knew that he was faking it. He knew senior brother Fu Nian's temperament too well. Without absolute certainty, Fu Nian would never speak. This kid still won't admit it? Seeing this, Dustless looked at Zhang Liang in surprise and secretly laughed in his heart. Idiot, everyone knows what you're thinking. Why do you have to pretend that you don't know and continue hiding? Rumor? What a good rumor. Fu Nian was so angry that he laughed. If Zhang Liang was willing to take the initiative to admit his mistake, he wouldn't be angry. After all, they were senior brothers, but Fu Nian hated people who pretended to be confused. This was obviously looking down on other people's IQ. Wind from an empty cave may not be without reason. Do you think I don't know your identity and background? Fu Nian snorted and angrily rebuked. You and Wei Zhuang have a subtle relationship. Your family has been the Prime Minister of Korea for 5 generations, and Wei Zhuang is a Korean noble. How dare you say you don't know each other? Hearing this, Zhang Liang frowned slightly and continued to quibble. Even if I know each other, so what? There is no evidence. I can't accept it if I collude with him in private. It doesn't matter if you accept it or not. Fu Nian shook his head and glanced at Zhang Liang. A straightforward person doesn't resort to insinuations. Zifang, I understand your inner thoughts, but I must tell you that I am the head of the Confucian school, not the gravedigger of the Confucian school. So the marriage alliance between Zichun and the Yinyang school is already a done deal. Don't mention it again in the future. When it came to the marriage alliance, Fu Nian looked determined. Zhang Liang's face changed when he heard this. He couldn't help but rebuke. Senior brother, why are you helping the evildoer? The Qin state is insensitive. Yingzheng harmed the world to satisfy his own selfish desires. Confucianism can't ask a tiger for its skin. What a joke. At this moment, Fu Nian laughed contemptuously and said sarcastically, colluding with the Qin state is helping the evildoer. Isn't colluding with Wei Zhuang's Lu Sha to lead the wolf into the house? Hearing this, the corners of Zhang Liang's mouth twitched, and he expressed his opinion again. Fu Nian didn't show any weakness and fought back with words. Neither of them would easily admit defeat. Buzz buzz buzz. Like flies, the two of them spat at each other for more than 10 minutes before they finally stopped. Zichun, you tell Zifang what he did wrong. After a while, Fu Nian saw Dustless's comfortable appearance as if everything had nothing to do with him. Fu Nian decisively pulled Dustless into the water. That's none of my business. Hearing this, Dustless rolled his eyes. He could only bite the bullet and say, Yingzheng rules the country by law. Although the law is harsh, it is not without its benefits. Upon hearing this, Zhang Liang was stunned for a moment. Then he moved closer to Dustless's ear and said in a tone that only the two of them could hear. You once said that you were neutral. Why are you siding with Yingzheng now? You worry too much. Dustless gave Zhang Liang a comforting look and said in a weak voice, I'm just leaning with Qin state in my thinking. My fist is still neutral. Quibble, you're really shameless. Glancing at Dustless, Zhang Liang turned his head with great disgust. Think whatever you want. I'm just expressing my personal opinion. Freedom of speech is innocent. Wu Chen smiled carelessly and explained. The criminal law of the Qin state is very strict and has been criticized. This is also one of the fundamental reasons why the whole world is against the Qin state. But in fact, in my opinion, this is not a big mistake. Not wrong. Fu Nian was stunned for a moment before asking. Zichun, tell me your opinion. Zifeng, listen to me clearly. Zichen was brought into Confucianism by you. Human nature is greedy. This is a natural habit that is difficult to change. If you don't impose restrictions, the evil shadow created is extremely fatal. Human nature must be controlled. Although Qin state's law is the most rigorous and harsh, it also restrains the greedy nature of human beings in a certain sense. It's ridiculous to be criticized as nothing by the 100 schools of thought. Dustless continued. What's more, looking at the countless years of history from the birth of the first feudal dynasty, Xia dynasty until now, there have been countless outstanding emperors. But which one of them didn't make mistakes? In contrast, Yingzheng has done a really good job. Let me ask you, how can a man not make mistakes? Yes, you're right. Fu Nian nodded and laughed in agreement. He gave Dustless a rare look of appreciation. These words really touched his heart. No man is perfect. Although Yingzheng was the first emperor in history, he was not a god. All human beings made mistakes. Moreover, Yingzheng's achievements were well known. He unified the 6 states and ended the era of division. Even if he was wrong, was it really necessary to hold on to other people's weaknesses every day? Overall, Yingzheng's achievements were greater than his mistakes. He was many times better than Xia Jie, King Zhou, King Yu of Zhou, and other absurd monarchs. Zifeng, what else do you have to say? Glancing at the silent Zhang Liang, Fu Nian said in an extremely cold tone. From now on, you are no longer the 3rd master of Confucianism. Fu Nian suddenly said something shocking. His words stunned Yanlu, Zhang Liang, and Dustless. Then, Fu Nian's gaze fell on Dustless's head. His words made everyone's eyes drop. Zichen, although you are young and illiterate, your knowledge is broad. In the future, you will be the 3rd master of Confucianism. Chapter 1867. Zichen, although you're young and illiterate, you're quite knowledgeable. In the future, you'll be the 3rd master of Confucianism. When he heard this, Dustless felt like his brain wasn't enough to process it. Perhaps Fu Nian was joking with him. The atmosphere was silent for a while. None of the 4 spoke, but Dustless kept staring at Fu Nian. Finally, after a few seconds, he saw that Fu Nian still had a serious expression on his face. He finally confirmed that this guy was serious and definitely not joking. Fu Nian abolished Zhang Liang's position as the 3rd master of Confucianism and promoted Dustless. The affairs of the world are truly unpredictable. Back then, it was Zhang Liang who brought me into Confucianism. Now my luck has changed and I've successfully counterattacked. Zhang Liang actually became my stepping stone. Zhang Liang looked at him in disbelief. Not to mention him, even Dustless thought that it was an illusion. From the time he entered Confucianism until today, Dustless had only joined Confucianism for a little more than a rainy day. However, the speed of his promotion made everyone blush with shame. Especially now that he had taken Zhang Liang's position as the 3rd master of Confucianism. From Fu Nian's resolute tone and resolute eyes, it could be seen that this wasn't an impulsive decision. Senior brother, Zichen is still young. You can't. As Zhang Liang's good friend, Yanlu immediately began to support Zhang Liang. Zifeng is in the wrong, but he shouldn't. Enough, second junior brother. With a wave of his hand, Fu Nian stopped Yanlu from continuing. We are disciples of Confucianism, so we should think for Confucianism. From the moment we joined Confucianism, we were no longer people of the 7 nations. The country doesn't matter to us anymore. Since Zifeng can't see through the past and wants to recover Korea, we can only temporarily take back your position as the 3rd master of Confucianism. It won't be too late to return it to you when you repent. After glancing at Zhang Liang, Fu Nian finally left in a huff. In fact, Fu Nian was forced to do this. He still cared about this junior brother of his. However, the differences between the two were too great. Fu Nian wanted to form an alliance with the Yinyang school. In the future, the status of Confucianism would inevitably rise. With the power of Qin, it was only a matter of time before Confucianism flourished. Zhang Liang, on the other hand, wanted to overthrow Qin and recover Korea, which was 1,000 miles away from Fu Nian's plan. In the end, he could only strip Zhang Liang of his identity. Hee hee, this sh*t stirrer. He's getting his retribution. Wu Chen snickered in his heart as he stared at the absent-minded Zhang Liang. His eyes narrowed into a line, and then he patted Zhang Liang's shoulder before leaving with Fu Nian. Zifeng, you don't have to be sad. I'm just a little angry. When the weather is better, I'll plead for you. Looking at Fu Nian and Wu Chen leaving, Yin Lu said encouragingly, Don't worry, I'll always be on your side. But it's useless. Hearing this, Zhang Liang could only smile bitterly and sigh in disappointment. I know eldest senior brother's character. He wants to bring Confucianism to greater heights and become the leader of the 100 schools of thought. I can empathize with his thoughts, but neither the Qin Kingdom nor the school of Yinyang are the best choices. Why don't we ask Uncle Master Sun for help? Yen Lu's eyes lit up. Uncle Master Sun? Zhang Liang's spirit was lifted. Then he remembered the special relationship between Dustless and Sun Zi. He shook his head and denied. That's even more impossible. Zichen gave his Yellowstone Heavenly Book to Uncle Master Sun to study. Uncle Master Sun will definitely stand on Zichen's side. And don't forget, Uncle Master Sun was the one who proposed the idea that human nature is evil. How can he overthrow his own theory now? Also, second senior brother, you've forgotten one thing. Uncle Master Sun cultivates both Confucianism and legalism. In history, Sun Zi cultivated both Confucianism and legalism. The current world was no exception. His disciples Li Si and Han Fei were the same. As expected, I've let a wolf into my house. How ironic. Looking at Dustless's gradually disappearing back, Zhang Liang looked up at the sky and realized that he had lost everything. The person who brought Dustless into Confucianism was himself, and the person who took away his status today was Dustless. TSK, the third master of Confucianism? It doesn't seem bad. There are no unnecessary trivial matters to deal with, and there's also an extraordinary identity. It's barely acceptable. Dustless followed behind Fu Nian, and did not dislike this identity. The third master of Confucianism did not have any real power, and was happy to be at ease. However, in terms of status and identity, it was higher than ordinary Confucian disciples. However, this guy is really cunning. Looking at Fu Nian's deep expression, Dustless smiled but did not say anything. Crippling Zhang Liang was not an impulsive and ignorant act. Fu Nian probably decided to give Dustless the identity of one of the three great families of Confucianism, after some contemplation. Dustless was just an ordinary disciple in Confucianism. Other than being powerful, his identity was very ordinary. However, young Master Ming was an elder of the Yinyang school. Her identity was not suitable, and it was inevitable that people would gossip. By giving Dustless the identity of the third master, he would also speak up for Confucianism in front of the Yinyang school in the future. After thinking for a while, Fu Nian gave the identity of the third master to Dustless. Fu Nian, to be able to become the head of the Confucian school, he is indeed a far-sighted person. Dustless sighed with emotion for a while, and then continued to follow Fu Nian. Although it was only a temporary marriage alliance, both sides had tacitly chosen an auspicious date. The most ridiculous thing was that in the next few days, Confucianism and the Yinyang school would arrange for Dustless and young Master Ming to marry, and then the wedding night. This also meant that the two families had completely embarked on the path of an alliance. Chapter 1868. Zhang Liang was definitely the most pitiful person in this matter. Not only was he stripped of his status as one of the three great families, but the most tragic thing was that the person who replaced him as the third head was the rising star Dustless. The chances of him taking back his status and position was probably zero. Of course, if Zhang Liang was willing to repent and change, Fu Nian might return his status to him. However, Zhang Liang, the third head, would definitely become the fourth head. One day later in the evening, the stars dotted the sky and the moonlight shone like a plate. The mulberry sea was close to the sea, and the scenery at night was pleasant. However, the streets were empty. Not even a ghost appeared, let alone a person. Above the void, there was a large number of mechanical bats flying, monitoring the entire mulberry sea. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, a black shadow silently flashed by. Because it was so fast, only a faint sound could be heard. Even the shadow could not be seen clearly. It was as fast as lightning. Phew. After staying in the little sage manor for so long, there is indeed something wrong with my head. The fresh air outside is still more suitable for me. A frivolous voice suddenly sounded. Looking closely, that unbelievably fast black shadow was actually Dustless, who had sneaked out for a walk at night. However, Dustless did not come out alone, but had a date with a beauty. You are as fast as always. On top of a tree, a beautiful figure stood steadily on the green leaves. Under the hazy moonlight, her slender and straight purple hair danced in the wind. That cold figure was easy to see. Looking up, it was the Yinyang School's young Master Ming. Why did you call me out? Staring at the cold and aloof young Master Ming, Dustless asked in surprise. The person who had asked him out tonight was the Yinyang School's young Master Ming. As for why she was entangled, Dustless did not understand. Since he was bored in the little sage manor, he might as well sneak out. Of course there is. Don't forget, we will be getting married in a few days. It is necessary to get to know you. Young Master Ming said in a matter-of-fact tone. Really, she is different from the young Master Ming in my impression. Dustless let out a long sigh. Before he crossed over to this world, Xiaoxi Ming was a quiet girl in his eyes. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. She was quite honest. Of course, it was understandable that Dustless was a special case. Facing other people, young Master Ming remained silent. Speaking of which, if one day you suddenly discovered that your fiancé, that is me, had suddenly become the enemy of your Yinyang School, what would you do? Wu Chen changed the topic and asked expectantly. The man who was about to marry Xiaoxi Ming was Zichen, Dustless in disguise. It would only be a matter of time before he was exposed. By then, Dustless and young Master Ming would become enemies again. Why ask such a question? Frowning her shapely eyebrows, Xiaoxi Ming looked at Wu Chen and gave an unexpected answer. Actually, it's not important. The key is your attitude. Attitude? Hearing this, Dustless felt strange. He asked, what do you mean? If you are willing to be loyal to the Yinyang School and have no second thoughts, you can naturally turn hostility into friendship. But if you insist on going against the current, you will definitely be crushed. Xiaoxi Ming told him the truth. It is indeed the style of the Yinyang School. Dustless smiled. But in his heart he did not agree. Want him to be loyal to the Yinyang School? That was impossible. It was more likely that the Yinyang School would submit to Dustless. But it was undeniable that the Yinyang School was a decent sect. They were quite open-minded and willing to take in an enemy. Dong Huangtai's attitude were indeed extraordinary. Normally, people would torture their captives to obtain useful information. Shoo shoo shoo. Right at this moment, an unusual weak ripple appeared in the air. Dustless also clearly felt an unusual bone-piercing coldness. Countless beams of cold light came from afar. They seemed to be some kind of sharp weapon like darts. However, what was strange was that those darts ignored Dustless, who was close to them, and went straight for young Master Ming, who was even further away. Sneak attack. Squinting his eyes, Dustless saw a few figures appear in the air. The first person that came to his mind was Zhang Liang, who was very concerned about this matter. The Confucian School and the Yinyang School working together was the most harmful to him. It was normal for this kid to want to kill Xiaoxi Ming. It doesn't seem to be Zhang Liang. Looking over, Dustless frowned and found that they were all unfamiliar faces. He thought it was Wei Zhuang's Lu Sha. Who would have thought that they were just passers-by? Shoo shoo shoo. Facing the incoming sharp weapon, young Master Ming calmly and gracefully tiptoed against the ground, easily dodging the incoming dark silhouette. Buzz buzz buzz. Not only that, Xiaoxi Ming immediately launched a counterattack. Countless green leaves came from all directions and condensed into a long green leaf whip according to Xiaoxi Ming's will. Xiaoxi Ming, don't kill these assassins. They still have some use. I want to see who is so daring to sneak attack us in the middle of the night. With a sinister smile, Wu Chen's left eye suddenly turned into a dark purple reincarnation Sharingan. 9 dark and mysterious Magatama hung above the eye socket. It looked very strange and neither fish nor fowl. Are you ordering me? Young Master Ming glanced at Wu Chen discontentedly, then snorted as if she didn't like it. However, the power in her hand was reduced, and the number of green leaves under her control was also reduced. Her power had decreased drastically. Chapter 1869. Wu Chen didn't say anything. He quietly looked at the attacking shadows. These assassins seemed to be skilled in their methods. Their cooperation was just right. Originally, everyone's strength was ordinary. However, after several of them cooperated with each other, the strength they displayed was amazing. Although it wasn't as exaggerated as the 6 sword slaves, it was enough to match an ordinary expert. Wu Chen stood still like a statue. This kind of thing could be left to young Master Ming. There was no need for him to get involved. He just needed to watch silently. If they aren't assassins sent by Zhang Liang, then who could it be? Dustless lowered his head and thought. Looking at the eyes of these assassins, his heart was slightly moved. Most of them looked ferocious, and their eyes were filled with determination and madness. These people seemed to be professional death warriors. The Mahis family deeply believes in the way of chivalry. The Mahis family wouldn't do something like training death warriors. Dustless rubbed his chin as he thought. His eyes were shining brightly. After spending some time with the Mahis family, he knew what kind of people they were. The Mahis family and the Confucian family were 2 of the most prominent schools in the world. The disciples of the Mahis family who were proficient in martial arts were called Mahist heroes. They followed the principle of love with impartiality, non-aggression, and were good at the construction of mechanisms. The disciples of the Mahis family were chivalrous and often used the Mahis family's secret techniques to defend the cities of other countries. They were the epitome of chivalry. Therefore, the chances of training these death warriors were very slim. Compared to them, Dustless squinted his eyes and guessed. These death warriors are like killing machines. They seem to be members of Zhao Gao's trap. Bang! An assassin was sent flying by Xiao Ming's whip and landed beside Dustless's feet, spitting out blood. Yo, can you tell me who sent you? Seeing the assassin land beside his feet, Dustless greeted him with a smile. This idiot. Seeing this, the corners of Xiao Ming's mouth twitched under the veil. You think he will tell you just because you asked him to? Do you think these assassins are children? Just because you gave them a piece of candy, they would run around in circles. Every one of them has a deadly poison in their teeth. If they fail the mission, they will drink the poison and commit suicide. The chances of capturing them alive are 0. If you want to ask them, hurry up. A faint energy ripple appeared around them, and Xiao Ming slowly descended from the sky. Not bad. The death warrior who landed beside Dustless's feet laughed sinisterly. His face was purple. Obviously he was poisoned. But the only pity, I didn't drag you 2 to hell. You, Xiao Ming, Xiao Ming, Xiao Ming's Xiao Ming, Xiao Ming, Xiao Ming. Seeing that this person was so stubborn, Wu Chen didn't bother to talk nonsense. He grabbed his head with his right hand and activated Rinnegan's eye power, and began to extract his memory. What Xiao T? Seeing the evil Sharingan in Dustless's left eye, Xiao Ming's body trembled unnaturally. She subconsciously looked away with a pale face. She felt uneasy when she looked into those mysterious eyes. Her heart felt like it was going to jump out of her chest. The hair all over her body stood on end as if she had met her mortal enemy. TSK, it is indeed that sinister Zhao Gao and Li Si. The ability of these 2 to collude with each other is indeed extraordinary. After a long while, Dustless softly muttered as he revealed the mastermind behind the scene. Zhao Gao and Li Si? Aren't they on our side? Xiao Ming slightly raised her eyebrows, opened her cherry lips, looked at Dustless suspiciously and asked, Did you make a mistake? The Yinyang school is an ally of the state of Qin. Allies? It was too comical. There were no absolute allies in this world. Only those who can benefit from each other can be regarded as true allies. The Yinyang school and the Qin state can only be regarded as using each other. Moreover, Zhao Gao and Li Si are extremely treacherous. The people they scam are their allies. Dustless said frankly. Zhao Gao and Li Si were both famous treacherous officials. Didn't Fu Su die because of them? It was undeniable that Zhao Gao was a treacherous official, but Li Si was a person with mixed reputation. This person did have extraordinary ability. Being able to become the prime minister of the state of Qin showed that Li Si was extraordinary. But as the saying goes, no one is perfect. Li Si also had his own goals and selfishness. Therefore, in the end, he and Zhao Gao caused the death of Fu Su and Meng Tian. Zhang Liang is an ally of the Mo family, right? But when the Mo family was in the mechanical city, he did nothing as he watched the Mo family's disciples get slaughtered by Wei Zhuang. Is this what an ally is? Dustless's words made Xiao Ximing speechless. She could only look at the former in a daze. In short, allies are used to scam and betray. What you said seems to make some sense. After a moment of silence, Xiao Ximing nodded as if she understood. In fact, she was not good at scheming. She was more concerned about her own strength. Zhao Gao and Li Si really put in a lot of effort to destroy the alliance between the Yin-Yang school and the Confucian school. But this is normal. Although their actions are too stupid and are no different from seeking death. Since the heavens let them live in this world, they have the right to struggle. The weak are innocent. But if he wants to recklessly challenge someone stronger than him, then he's courting death. Dustless's eyes surged with red light. He turned into a wild beast that chose people to devour. Xiao Ximing's chest tightened several times. Strange. Suddenly, Xiao Ximing thought of something. She stared at Dustless's left eye a few times and muttered to herself, "This guy's eye. I think I heard that someone from the Yin-Yang school had seen it before." Chapter 1870. It was no wonder that Xiao Ximing felt a sense of déjà vu. When Dustless beat up Xinghun, he had used the Sharingan, and Xinghun had reminded the school of Yin-Yang about it. However, there had been too many things recently, especially the fact that she was about to marry Zichun of the Confucian school. Xiao Ximing's heart was in a mess, so she didn't remember it. Pointing at the assassin whose head Dustless had grabbed, Xiao Ximing asked calmly, "You can search other people's memories?" "That's right." Wu Chen nodded calmly and told him bluntly, "After I extract his memory, he will completely die. The consequence of his soul being damaged is quite serious. If he is lucky, he will become an idiot. If he is unlucky, he will go to hell to report." "I see." Hearing this, Xiao Ximing nodded slightly. She couldn't help but stare at Wu Chen in astonishment. She truly felt that this Confucian disciple was too strange. Almost everything he knew was heterodox and unorthodox, but he didn't know anything about the Confucian school's literary attainments. "I heard that you became the third head of the Confucian school of Yin-Yang?" Xiao Ximing suddenly asked with a hint of concern in her voice. "Don't be fooled by the Confucian school of Yin-Yang. The Mahists are all traitors, and the Confucians are not good people either. I should be the one saying that to you." Dustless rolled his eyes. Compared to the Mahists and Confucians, the school of Yin-Yang was just as strange. He should be wary of Xiao Ximing. Of course, Xiao Ximing's words made sense. The school of Yin-Yang and the school of Yin-Yang both had their own ambitions. They just had different standpoints. Dustless didn't care who was right and who was wrong. "Speaking of which, what memories did you see?" Seeing the faint smile on Dustless's face, Xiao Ximing couldn't help but ask curiously, "Could it be Zhao Gao and Li Si's big secret?" "Something like that." Dustless nodded and sneered. "They just want to kill one of us and force the school of Yin-Yang and the school of Yin-Yang to turn against each other." Li Si and Zhang Liang's goal was similar to Zhang Liang's. "Are you mistaken? This kind of thing doesn't benefit them." Young Ximing couldn't figure it out no matter how hard she thought about it. This kind of thankless task didn't seem to benefit Zhao Gao at all. "It's right that you don't understand. It has something to do with the power disputes within the Qin kingdom." Dustless paused for a moment. After sorting out his thoughts, he said, "The school of Yin-Yang and the Confucian school have a good impression of young Master Fu Su. In the future battle for the throne of the empire, Li Si and Zhao Gao are afraid that we will side with young Master Fu Su. If both the school of Yin-Yang and the Confucian school supported Fu Su, then there was no need for the others to fight for the throne." Fu Su was already appreciated by Ying Zheng, and if he had the support of the school of Yin-Yang and the Confucian school as well, then the others would be finished. However, Zhao Gao and Li Si had another candidate in mind. Hu Hai. It's normal for you to be confused if you don't understand. Voidless looked at the confused young Master Ming. She probably didn't understand what he was saying at all. Are you looking down on me again? Hearing this, a faint look of anger appeared on Xiaoxi Ming's calm face. She seemed to be very dissatisfied with Dustless's attitude. His casual and frivolous tone clearly showed that he was looking down on her. Again? When did I look down on you? And why did you use the word again? It makes it sound like I've looked down on you many times. Dustless smiled embarrassedly and changed the topic. Anyway, Li Si won't let the Confucian school and the school of Yinyang form an alliance. After the two schools form an alliance, their strength will be too strong, and it will threaten Li Si and Zhao Gao's position. You have to be careful in the future. You're looking down on me again, Xiaoxi Ming pouted, looking very dissatisfied with Dustless. It's because you don't think I'm strong enough that you told me to be careful. If this isn't looking down on me, then what is? Don't try to deny it. This girl. I thought she didn't like to talk. She's quite eloquent. Wu Chen couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Xiaoxi Ming's words made him speechless. Frankly speaking, young Master Ming's current performance was completely different from what he had expected. There was a huge difference. That's not bad. It's better than being a mute who never talks. Looking at Xiaoxi Ming's delicate face, Dustless smiled and felt relieved. He asked, "Why are you looking for me in the middle of the night? Don't tell me you're just here to chat. Lord Donghuang invites you to the Mirage for a chat." Looking at Dustless, Xiaoxi Ming said, "It's getting late. Come with me." "I knew you're not here for a date." Dustless hummed and looked very unhappy. He asked impatiently, "That Donghuang Tai?" "It's Lord Donghuang." Before Dustless could finish his nonsense, Xiaoxi Ming interrupted him and said seriously, "Calling Donghuang by his name has serious consequences. It's disrespectful." "It's none of my business. I'm not a disciple of the school of Yinyang." Dustless didn't care. No matter how mysterious and powerful Donghuang Tai was, he was just an ordinary person. Was there a need to respect him like a god? Besides, God knows how many gods have died in my hands, let alone Donghuang Tai. Dustless snorted in his mind. He didn't care about Donghuang Tai at all. Instead, he felt that Xiaoxi Ming and the others had been brainwashed. Why is the leader of the school of Yinyang looking for me? Following Xiaoxi Ming, Dustless asked out of boredom, "Are you trying to persuade me to join the school of Yinyang?" "There's no need to do that." Xiaoxi Ming replied indifferently. She glanced at Dustless and said, "You should know that after you and I get married, you'll be half a member of the school of Yinyang. Ancient women are so obedient. The 3 obedience and 4 virtues are so good." Dustless murmured to himself. The school of Yinyang simply ordered Xiaoxi Ming and Dustless to get married. She didn't resist at all and accepted everything. If it was in his previous era, it would be unimaginable. Chapter 1871. Come to think of it, Donghuang Tai is on the Mirage. Dustless looked up at the sky. Even with the black night sky, he could still see the horizon clearly. The giant ship docked on the sea was especially clear in his eyes. "What's the matter?" Dustless looked at young Master Ming with a confused expression. To be honest, he didn't know Donghuang Tai, the most mysterious being in the world. Dustless knew very little about him. But from young Master Ming's tone, it wasn't hard to tell that Donghuang Tai was looking forward to meeting Dustless. "Aren't you afraid that I'll harm you?" After walking for a few minutes, young Master Ming suddenly turned around and looked at Dustless, who was deep in thought, and said coldly, "Maybe this is a trap. Everyone on the Mirage is from the school of Yinyang." "So what?" Hearing this, Wu Chen just replied with a flat question as if nothing had happened, and his light tone was completely filled with confidence and calmness that caused others to admire him. The school of Yinyang had 5 elders, 2 guardians, and the mysterious Donghuang Tai. This magnificent lineup was enough to make all the other sects pale in comparison. Even an expert like Gania would die if he was surrounded by these experts. But Dustless wasn't afraid. "Actually, I want to take a look at the Mirage too." Dustless's eyes turned slightly as he made a plan in his mind. I can use this opportunity to sneak into the mirage and take Shirlan's brother away from Yin Zhongjuan. Shirlan was poisoned last time because she went into the mirage alone. I can use this opportunity to take Shirlan's brother away. You're quite brave. Young Master Ming turned around and smiled faintly. She continued to lead Dustless forward. No one wanted the person they were about to marry to be an incompetent idiot who was afraid of everything. Dustless's fearless spirit might seem brainless, but young Master Ming admired it. He was much better than those men who were afraid in the face of a big problem. Instead of calling the mirage a ship, it was more appropriate to call it a floating city on the sea. Its unprecedented size filled up the entire eyeball, and one couldn't even see the end of it. It was simply too big. At this moment on the mirage, Dustless looked at the unprecedented giant ship in shock. His eyes were a little dazed. The mirage built by the Gongshu family's mechanism art combined with the Yin Yang school's mechanism art is indeed beyond imagination. At first glance, what came into Wu Qi's eyes were countless pavilions, terraces, and pagodas. Perhaps they were built by Ying Zheng as a palace on the ocean, and the formation was extremely exaggerated. Dustless snuck into the mirage alone to discuss with Great Sea Ming and Moon God. He didn't pay much attention to the surroundings, but now that he had young Sea Ming with him, he couldn't help but admire Gongshu Chao's intelligence. Are you finally here? You made me wait for so long. Dustless furrowed his brows as his gaze swept over to the source of the voice. What entered his vision was Xing Hun, who was standing with his hands clasped behind his back. Don't speak in such a tone. I'm afraid others will misunderstand. Dustless shook his finger with an expression that said, I'm not familiar with you. Misunderstand? What misunderstand? Xing Hun didn't understand what Dustless was talking about and looked at him in confusion. I'm afraid others will say that my sexual orientation is abnormal. With that, Dustless left with young Sea Ming, ignoring Xing Hun's pale face. Dustless thought that young Sea Ming would bring him directly to see Donghuang Tai, but instead, she brought him to a room with a nice environment. It's getting late. I'll bring you to see His Excellency Donghuang tomorrow. Tonight you can rest here. I'll be staying next door. Just look for me if you need anything. As soon as she finished speaking, young Sea Ming was about to leave. Gosh, that Donghuang Tai is really good at putting on airs. Seeing young Sea Ming leaving and heading next door, Dustless mumbled to himself. Then he closed the door decisively and left a shadow clone to replace him. As for his real body, he went to look for Great Sea Ming. Anyway, Dustless had left the Flying Thunder God Warlock on Great Sea Ming a long time ago. Although the elusive mirage was huge, finding Great Sea Ming was just a matter of thought. In the misty room, a few naked figures could be vaguely seen. They were hidden in the mist, and their snow-white bodies made one's imagination run wild. I can't figure out what they're planning. Why would the school of Yinyang ally with the Confucian school? Now young Sea Ming is going to marry Dustless. What is Donghuang Tai trying to do? Great Sea Ming soaked in the water lazily. His rosy cheeks were filled with confusion. He was a little jealous of young Sea Ming. Although he had become Dustless's woman, they were not officially married. Now that young Sea Ming had gotten to him first, Great Sea Ming was jealous. I don't know. Moon God also shook her head. What was Donghuang Tai thinking? She could not figure it out no matter how hard she tried. Beside Moon God was a pretty girl. She was swimming around in the hot spring. Sometimes, she would let out a pleasant laugh. She was Moon Goddess. Plop. At this moment, the peaceful atmosphere was suddenly broken. A black figure suddenly flew out of the void and fell into the hot spring under the shocked gazes of Moon Goddess, Great Sea Ming, and Moon Goddess. Gosh, people from the school of Yinyang are really extravagant to be able to soak in a hot spring on the ship. Wu Chun, who had fallen into the water, finally managed to climb out of the water to catch his breath. He looked up and saw three naked bodies. Yueshan, Great Sea Ming, and Yu Er were all staring at him without moving. If I said I didn't do it on purpose, you would believe me, right? Chapter 1872. Dustless was embarrassed. He did not expect Great Sea Ming to be taking a bath, And to be soaking in the hot spring with Yueshin, and you, who would have thought that there would be a hot spring above the elusive mirage? It was too extravagant in terms of technology in this era. If you continue to stare at us, I might really be bothered. Yueshin's tone was calm as she tried her best to maintain her composure. However, if one were to look closely, they would notice that Yueshin's mouth was twitching. This fella, such a crooked trick. There's nothing special about it. Yueshin used to admire Dustless when she knew that Dustless could use such a heaven-defying trick like the Flying Thunder God. However, she was filled with disdain now. Such a vulgar move was simply rotten to the core. Cough cough. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Dustless smiled awkwardly and retracted his gaze awkwardly. With his back facing the three ladies, he said, "The three of you should go and put on your clothes. It won't be good if someone sees you." Wu Chen was actually feeling frustrated as well. He had never thought that Great Si Ming would be bathing at this moment, and that he would be implicated as an innocent person. "Brother Dustless." A crisp voice entered his ears. Dustless was stunned for a moment before he turned around to look. "You?" With a bright smile, Dustless rubbed the little girl's head and asked with concern, "How's life above the elusive mirage? Are you bored?" "Sister Yueshin is very nice to me. Sister Great Si Ming is the same. They all play with me." Yu blinked her eyes and smiled contentedly. As Dustless had informed Yueshin beforehand, Yueshin and the rest were even more protective of you. Why? Do you think that will torture Qianlong? Great Si Ming and Yueshin had put on their clothes again. The one who spoke was Great Si Ming. The two of them only put on a layer of clothes to prevent themselves from being exposed. However, this gauze that was as thin as a cicada's wing was nothing to Dustless. It couldn't be helped. Dustless had all kinds of eye techniques, so his eyesight was ridiculously good. Even the filthy deep sea was clear to him at a glance. What's more, it was just a thin layer of muslin. "Of course I trust the two of you." Dustless looked at Moon God and Great Si Ming's eyes and tried his best not to look at their naked bodies. "You two know Er's uniqueness better than I do. Some necessary precautions are unavoidable. So in your heart, we're not even as important as a little girl." A slightly jealous voice suddenly sounded. If it was Great Si Ming who said this, Dustless would not be an exception. After all, he had already done that kind of thing with Great Si Ming. But if it was the Moon God, this guy, did he take the wrong medicine? Dustless stared at the Moon God in astonishment. He thought she was just joking because she was bored. "Moon God, what's the result of the investigation I asked you to do?" Dustless asked bluntly. "Does Yun Zhongjuan have the ability to refine the elixir of immortality?" Dustless did not dawdle. After asking the question, he had to go back and rest. It would be bad if young Si Ming noticed something wrong. "This?" Moon God hesitated for a moment and then said, "Based on the current situation, it should be possible. Otherwise, Yingzheng would not spend so much time on Yin Zhongjuan." "You're right." Dustless nodded thoughtfully. Yingzheng was a very smart emperor. He would never do something that was strenuous and unrewarding. He was willing to spend a lot of resources on Yin Zhongjuan, because he had nothing better to do. Right. Dustless's eyes lit up. A peerless beauty suddenly appeared in his mind. Her graceful body circled around Dustless's mind. He could not get rid of her figure forever. It was as if she had left a mark on his soul. "Brother Dustless, can you help me save my mother?" Before Dustless could speak, Yuer's pitiful voice came first. "You mean Concubine Yan?" The figure in Dustless's mind was, in fact, Concubine Yan. Concubine Yan? A strange ripple flashed across the Moon God's expressionless face. Her originally gentle face suddenly turned cloudy and cold. Dustless could not help but raise his eyebrows. He thought to himself, "I've heard that the Moon God and Concubine Yan are not on good terms. There is a great grudge between them. Now it seems to be true. Actually, I also want to ask why Concubine Yan was suddenly released. If I remember correctly, she should have been locked up by Dong Huangtai." Staring at the Moon God and Great Si Ming, Dustless was filled with questions. "We don't know the details either." The Moon God and Great Si Ming looked at each other and shook their heads. Although one of them was a guardian of the school of Yinyang, and the other was one of the 5 great elders of the school of Yinyang, They were not omnipotent. At least one thing is certain. Dong Huang Tai and concubine, Yin must have some kind of secret agreement. The moon god, who was of a higher status than Great Siming, obviously knew more. She continued, ever since Xinghan was severely injured by you, Dong Huang Tai released concubine Yin. I think he is targeting you. But it's really ironic. At the end, the moon god's lips curled into a self-mocking smile. She secretly sighed that the school of Yinyang might really be on the decline. This Zichen in front of her was actually Dustless in disguise. Dustless appeared in the school of Yinyang's base. Ironically, no one noticed anything wrong with him. That's because my disguise technique is profound. Great Siming interrupted with a smile. His tone was filled with pride and arrogance. She was in charge of Dustless's disguise. Brother Dustless, you will help Yu Er save my mother, right? Yu Er pulled Dustless's right hand and rubbed it against her face. She looked at him with puppy eyes. You are so adorable. After sighing, Dustless hesitated for a moment before he agreed. I was the one who sent you to the school of Yinyang. You have been living alone in the Mirage Tower. It must have been hard on you. I will help you save your mother this time. Consider it my compensation to you. Chapter 1873. Dustless did not mind saving concubine Yen since she would not be a hindrance to him. Do you have any other questions? If not, I will leave now. Young Master Ming is staying next door to me. If she finds out anything, it will be troublesome. Dustless frowned and was about to leave. You can just kill her. Great Siming added fuel to the fire and said, are you going to return her to you? Don't tell me you are not her match, or... At this point, Great Siming walked around Wu Chen with a faint smile on his face. When he saw the latter's awkward expression, he said slowly, could it be that you really have feelings for young Siming? Don't be fooled by her beauty. She has thorns. Eastern Emperor Tai must have a motive for ordering the marriage between young Master Ming and the Confucian school. Moon Goddess agreed softly and said worriedly, killing her is the best choice. Kill young Master Ming? Dustless showed a serious expression on his face, but he was very relaxed in his heart. It was not hard to tell that he was just brushing off Moon Goddess and Great Siming. No matter what, I am a top-notch expert who has traversed countless dimensions. If I can't even take down young Master Ming, it will be a joke. After nagging for a while, Dustless disappeared from Moon Goddess and Great Siming's eyes. Damn it! Which room is it? In the dead silent corridor, Dustless looked at the rows of rooms in front of him in frustration. He looked around and did not move for a long time. Dustless tragically realized that all the rooms were exactly the same. For a moment, he forgot where he was staying. It should be this room. Dustless looked at the cut on the ground and muttered. It was made by Kanai and was used to locate the spatial coordinates. Creak. The door was pushed open gently, but the scene that greeted him almost blinded Dustless. Are you changing your clothes? Young Master Siming's naked body entered his eyes. Her curvaceous body was in full view. She had the golden ratio without any excess fat. Although young Master Siming had a cold personality, her body could make one's blood boil. In fact, in some areas, she was even better than Great Siming, who had already had sex with Dustless. Dustless's mind was in a trance as he looked at her pure and seductive body. Have you seen enough? The same cold voice came out from young Master Ming's throat. However, it was different from before, as it was slightly trembling. It was not hard to see that young Master Ming's heart was extremely complicated. Ahem, I'm sorry. Dustless reluctantly lowered his head, looked at the floor, and said, I want to go to the toilet. It's almost the same here. I can't find a place, so I came to trouble you. Who knew? I'm really sorry. Dustless apologized again, and found an extremely awkward excuse to deal with it. But Xiao Siming wasn't sure if she would believe it or not. Just go out and turn left for 50 steps. After saying this calmly, Xiao Siming's voice stopped again. Dustless turned his head slightly and stole a glance at Xiao Siming. She had already changed into a white coat, which was almost the same as what Yueshan and Great Siming had said. In Dustless's eyes, it was as if it was transparent. Strange. After walking out of young Master Ming's bedroom, Dustless said without hesitation. The kunai was clearly placed at the door. Why did it enter young Master Ming's room? Did I remember wrongly? His mind was like paste, overturning the sky and the earth. It was a mess. Forget it, I'll go to sleep. Suddenly, Dustless stopped walking. He turned around and walked towards his room, but Xiao Ming blocked his way. You're lying to me. After observing Dustless for a while, Xiao Ming said slowly. Didn't you notice the difference in the room just now? Dustless fell silent. He really didn't notice anything. All the rooms in the Mirage were the same. What difference could there be? The room you saw me changing my clothes in was actually your own room. Xiao Ming said something shocking, and her eyes were filled with shrewdness. No wonder. I told you Dustless couldn't have placed the kunai in the wrong place. Dustless's confusion was suddenly solved. When he opened his mouth to argue, Xiao Ming's beautiful voice made Dustless pause. He had to swallow the words that were about to come out of his mouth. You must have sneaked out just now, right? And I also smelled a unique scent from your body. It's very similar to the faint scent of Yueshan, and Xiao Ming squinted her eyes and continued. There are still water stains on your clothes that haven't been dried yet. There's no water around. If it's tea, it must have the scent of tea. Unfortunately, it's not. Don't you want to explain it to me? This woman who always looks like she doesn't know anything about the world is actually very shrewd. It's the complete opposite of her naive face. Dustless was secretly shocked. He fell into the water just now, and when he came back, his body was still wet. He had to use chakra to evaporate a large amount of water stains, but his clothes were still wet. As for the scent of Yueshan, Dustless didn't know. Maybe it was because he accidentally touched it when he fell into the water just now. If you don't give me a reasonable explanation. Explanation? What explanation? Dustless had an idea. He immediately started to pester endlessly. He said angrily, You people from the school of Inyang really don't know etiquette. That woman called Yueshan actually took me away to investigate. How dare you? And I was afraid that you would be worried, so I purposely hid that I was sleeping. Now you're looking at me with such a betraying gaze. Xiao Ming, you're so unreasonable. I'm so sad. I'll just divorce you. Chapter 1874. Hearing this, Xiao Ming was stunned for a long time. After staring at Dustless for a while, she suddenly felt a breath of cold air. Only then did Xiao Ming come back to her senses. Taking a closer look, it was Wu Chun with a grave and stern face. This aggrieved expression seemed like he had suffered a great humiliation. You want to divorce me? Her eyes widened a few times. Even with Xiao Ming's indifferent personality, she still trembled as she spoke. She was truly shocked by Dustless's, I want to divorce you. You're still so arrogant after making a mistake? Xiao Ming's eyes were fixed on Dustless's face. Her world view was refreshed. This bastard clearly made a mistake, but he still looked like he was framing her. Shameless to the extreme. Huff, huff, huff. Young Master Ming's career trembled in anger. Her hair-raising curves dazzled Wu Chen's eyes, and he almost couldn't help drooling. When Xiao Ming was still like a virgin, there was a kind of tranquil beauty. Even though she was angry now, there was a different kind of charm. You're twisting words. Xiao Ming gritted her teeth and coldly retorted Dustless. You were the one who made a mistake first, and you still dare to say that you want to divorce me? Why wouldn't I dare? Dustless looked back at Xiao Ming and said loudly, I'm going to divorce you this time. Hurry up and bring me a pen and paper. I'm going to break up with you right now. You. Hearing this, Xiao Ming's pretty face darkened. Anger was rolling in the depths of her eyes. Xiao Ming had always been loyal to Dong Huangtai's orders. Even if he asked her to die, she would do it without hesitation. Since Dong Huangtai ordered her to marry Dustless, then Xiao Ming would definitely not refuse. You want to divorce me? Not a chance. Xiao Ming pouted her thin lips and glanced at Dustless before leaving. After I ask the moon god about the details, I'll come back to deal with you. If you're lying, I'll make you regret it. As soon as she finished speaking, young Arbiter Ming turned into a breeze and left. What a naive fool. The moon goddess is one of my people. Do you even need to think about what will happen to her? You will definitely lose everything. Dustless, who was extremely bored, went back to his room to sleep as he watched her leave in a huff. Needless to say, the moon god must be on Dustless's side. Naturally, she would agree to Dustless's statement that young Arbiter Ming was destined to fail. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was already late at night. After working hard for half the night, Dustless also felt a burst of bone-deep fatigue. His head was dizzy, and just as he fell on the bed, he fell into a deep sleep. About 4 to 6 hours later, Dustless subconsciously opened his eyes when he felt a faint movement in his body. The lights in the room were turned on again. The strangest thing was that young Master Ming was sitting beside Dustless, staring at the confused Dustless without blinking. You're not going to kill me, are you? After being stunned for a few seconds, Dustless rubbed his eyes and asked, If that's the case, I advise you to stop. You should know the difference in strength between you and me. Sorry, I was too reckless before. With an apologetic look on her beautiful face, young Master Ming said in a low voice, I just heard the moon goddess say that she did capture you for interrogation. I'm sorry, Zichen. Dustless's lips curled into a fleeting smile. He sighed in his heart. Just as I predicted, this crisis is finally resolved. All right, it's fine. You can go back now. My head hurts. I'm going to sleep. After apologizing, Dustless didn't want to continue pestering her. He was in the wrong and young Master Ming wasn't in the wrong. He should forgive and forget. You won't divorce me, right? Clenching the corner of her shirt, Xiaoxi Ming asked nervously, I have apologized and you have forgiven me. Hearing this, for some reason, Dustless's sleepiness disappeared without a trace. Seeing young Master Ming's tense face, Dustless felt a stabbing pain in his heart. Was Dong Huangtai's order that important to her? Dustless could tell that young Master Ming was so nervous because she was worried that he would divorce her. It wasn't that young Master Ming liked him. She was just worried that she couldn't complete the mission given by Dong Huangtai. For the school of Yinyang, Dong Huangtai was everything. But the cruel thing was that young Master Ming was just an insignificant chess piece in Dong Huangtai's eyes. From the marriage between young Master Ming and the Confucian school, it could be seen that young Master Ming could be abandoned at any time. I'm fine, young Master Ming. Let's get along well in the future. You can go back first. I just have a headache. I'll be fine after some rest. Shaking his head, Dustless was about to lie down again when he noticed that his pillow was taken away. Will this make you feel better? The young Master Ming put Wu Chen's head on her legs. The soft feeling was very comfortable. Wu Chen could even smell the orchid fragrance of the young Master Ming's body. She was also very considerate as she massaged Wu Chen's temples. Young Master Ming, there's no need for that. I've already forgiven you. I said that I would divorce you in a moment of anger. I'll take it back now. Dustless suddenly felt a little embarrassed about the hard-earned pillow. After all, he was the one who shamelessly asked for it. I was too reckless tonight. Young Master Ming said stubbornly, sleep well. This is my responsibility. I'm the one who caused your headache, so I'll take care of it. What a pity. Dustless sighed in his heart. He was already planning to kill Dong Huangtai, that crazy brainwashing demon. Chapter 1875. Peacefully lying on Xiaoxi Ming's knees, Wu Chen curved up his mouth corners in a pleasant smile, while humming a faintly discernible song. He seemed to be enjoying himself quite a bit. It was a great gift for Dustless that Xiaoxi Ming was willing to lower herself to be his pillow. Now that he was using her slender fingers to massage his temples, Dustless would never have dared to imagine such luxurious enjoyment. How do you feel? After a few minutes, Xiaoxi Ming suddenly asked. Very good. People from the school of Yinyang are second to none in everything they do. No one can compare to them. Dustless, who was lying on Xiaoxi Ming's legs, opened his eyes. Her serious face also appeared in his eyes. Xiaoxi Ming gave off a very different feeling when she was close to him. Especially when she was so tactful, Dustless was a little dazed. Xiaoxi Ming, do you know a man called Yuziki? After a moment of silence, Dustless suddenly changed the topic and said, I heard that he was captured by Yin Zhongjuan. Can you help me get him out? Yuziki? Is he your friend? Xiao Ximing lowered her head and looked at Dustless's satisfied smile. She said meaningfully, since he was captured by Yin Zhongjuan, it means that your friend is somewhat special. As one of the 5 great elders of the school of Yinyang, Xiao Ximing naturally knew what kind of person Yin Zhongjuan was. Dustless saw the intelligent expression on Xiao Ximing's face with his clear eyes. He also knew that it was impossible to continue hiding some things. It was completely unnecessary. Just like what Xiao Ximing said, if he was an ordinary person, Yin Zhongjuan would not have captured him. He's from Shu Mountain. He's the brother of a friend of mine. After thinking for a while, Dustless continued, if you're willing to help me find him, I'll owe you a favor this time. People from Shu Mountain? Hearing this, Xiao Ximing hesitated for a moment before replying without hesitation. I heard from Lord Xinghun that people from Shu Mountain have appeared in Shanghai recently. They are all traders of the empire and are no different from the Mo family. I really didn't expect you to be related to them. Dustless laughed embarrassedly and shrugged. If you want to capture me, I have nothing to say. But I won't sit still and wait for death. Loquacious, I knew you would say that. Young Master Ming rolled her eyes at Dustless and said, I can try, but I can only do my best. If Yin Zhongjuan doesn't want to hand him over, I can't do anything about it. After all, the Mirage was Yin Zhongjuan's territory, and he was the only ship owner here. Not going to hand him over? Hearing this, Dustless sneered in his heart. If he didn't want to hand him over, it meant that he was choosing to fight head-on. The biggest difference between people in this world was that some people were tactful and knew how to go with the flow. This was the golden rule of survival. However, some people chose to go against the current. They wanted to challenge the monstrous waves with the body of an ant. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? There's one more person. A graceful woman in palace attire suddenly appeared in his mind. This person was Yu'er's birth mother, concubine Yan. Let's take it slow. After thinking for a while, Dustless could only give up the idea of saving her for the time being. The huge mirage hid countless dark rooms. It was easier said than done to find a person. Moreover, he didn't know what concubine Yan's attitude towards him was. My head is much better now. You should go back and rest, young Master Ming. Pushing away young Master Ming's fingers, Dustless moved away from her knees and said with a smile, the task of helping me get Yuziki back is yours, so you should go back and rest as well. You're pushing me away again. It seems that you haven't forgiven me yet. Young Master Ming pouted and was dissatisfied again. Hearing this, Dustless curled his lips helplessly and couldn't help but mutter, you're so hard to please. Hee. The corners of Dustless's mouth curled up slightly. He suddenly laughed, leaned close to young Master Ming's ear, and blew a breath of hot air. It seems that you want to stay here tonight. However, there's only one bed in this room. Do you plan to sleep with me? Something out of the ordinary? Why can't I? Staring at Dustless's face, young Master Ming asked as if nothing had happened. Although her face was already as red as an apple, and her eyes were filled with shyness, young Master Ming still gritted her teeth and persisted with great courage. Anyway, this day will come sooner or later. Young Master Ming comforted herself in her heart, and it was quite effective. Her abnormal breathing soon calmed down, and her beautiful eyes looked at Dustless as calm as water. Then, under the latter's surprised gaze, she gracefully crawled into Dustless's bed. That. I was just saying. You don't have to take it seriously. Dustless didn't expect young Master Ming to be so obedient. He was just trying to provoke her, and his intention was to drive her away. Who knew that the people from the school of Yinyang were indeed different? Not only were Yueshan and Great Master Ming hard to understand, even the seemingly innocent young Master Ming would sometimes do something shocking. For example, right now young Master Ming wasn't deterred. Instead, her sudden action stunned Dustless, and he suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Are you being shy? Seeing Dustless's uncertain expression, young Master Ming's tone became a little strange, and she said sarcastically, it's just sleeping. Do you have to be so concerned? Moreover, this day will come sooner or later. Don't forget that you and I are going to get married in a few days. This guy, hearing this, dustless frowned. If it was in the past, young Master Ming would definitely understand what it meant to be a man with iron blood. But now, the situation was different. Since Great Master Ming helped Dustless to disguise himself, Dustless's appearance was a disguise. His current identity was still Zichun, and it wouldn't make sense for him to do it with her. Chapter 1876. But Dustless's eyes were glowing as he stared at young Master Ming's beautiful body. Sleeping together didn't mean they had to do anything inappropriate. They could communicate in other ways. For example, seeing young Master Ming crawl into his bed, Dustless didn't hold back and crawled in as well. If he continued to be a coward, young Master Ming would definitely look down on him and even despise him. You don't touch my leg. Noticing Dustless's strange movements, young Master Ming snorted and complained. Her cheeks were red, and she wanted to scold Dustless. However, a special electric current flowed through her body, and she ended up moaning like a spoiled child. Oh, sorry, my hand slipped. Dustless smirked and completely ignored young Master Ming's feelings. That's my left leg, don't touch it. That's my chest. Don't touch me. Dustless was originally very tired, but after young Master Ming's tantrum he didn't feel sleepy at all. The two spent the whole night in the warm bed, and talked about the future. The scene was quite harmonious. They only fell asleep at dawn, and when they woke up again, it was already afternoon. Geez, my head is even dizzier. Dustless opened his eyes in a daze. He suddenly felt that his right arm was a little numb. Just as he was about to rub it, he suddenly stopped. This guy really knows how to enjoy himself. Looking at young Master Ming, Dustless didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was sleeping peacefully on Dustless's right arm, and there was a faint smile on her peaceful face. She looked quite satisfied. Now that he thought about it, young Master Ming's life was very monotonous in the past. Other than cultivating, she probably did nothing else. She was just like a machine. Now that she had Wu Chun, an experienced player, to accompany her, her life was more interesting than before. Dustless didn't do much to the Arbiter of Fate last night. They just had some fun and it wasn't too bad. At the very least, it was much happier than when he was studying in the Confucian school. Let's sleep a little longer. Dustless pulled Xiaoxi Ming into his embrace with his right arm. He narrowed his eyes again. His pair of small hands couldn't help but become restless again. He pinched left and right, skillfully and vigorously on Xiaoxi Ming's body. You don't have any self-awareness at all. You actually pretended to sleep with me. I'll make you regret it. Dustless snickered in his heart, and the kung fu in his hands became even more intense. Noticing the change in young Master Ming's expression, even though she hid it very well, the corner of her mouth and eyelashes moved slightly without leaving a trace. Dustless's sharp eyes caught everything. Since young Master Ming liked acting, then Dustless would accompany her to the end. After all, he wasn't the one at a disadvantage. Still not up. Xing Hun looked at the servant in front of him with extreme dissatisfaction. He was secretly furious. Just now, he had sent someone to inform young Master Ming that she was going to Mulberry Sea City to carry out a mission to search for the Mo family's traitors. In the end, Xing Hun was stunned that young Master Ming was actually lazing in bed. Xing Hun wouldn't believe such a thing even if he was beaten to death. Lord Xing Hun, please calm down. Yun Zhongjuan looked at the angry Xing Hun and comforted him. Lord Xing Hun, young people are like this. Everything depends on their mood. Why bother arguing with them? You're just lowering yourself. That's reasonable. Arguing with that fellow is too much for him. Xing Hun retracted his anger and regained his calm. He said gloomily, I keep feeling that Zichun is strange. The person who brought him into the Confucian school is undoubtedly Zhang Liang, but I've investigated his background and identity. It's all a blank. It's as if he appeared out of thin air. That's right. Yun Zhongjuan stroked his beard and whispered into Xing Hun's ear. Lord Xing Hun, did you not find anything else suspicious? What else is there? Xing Hun frowned and asked doubtfully. Are you talking about Zichun's martial arts? He doesn't seem to be taught by the Confucian school. That's just one of the reasons. Yin Zhongjuan shook his head and explained. To be honest, I heard that Zichen is inextricably linked to the moon goddess and has an unusual relationship with Great Si Ming. Someone once saw Great Si Ming and Zichen having a secret rendezvous in Mulberry Sea. Moon goddess and Great Si Ming? It was as if Xing Hun's inner demon had been triggered. He immediately pricked up his ears. Tell me the details. Hearing this, Yin Zhongjuan told him the information he heard a few days ago in detail. His expression was indescribably strange. You're saying that Great Si Ming and Zichen are suspected of having an affair? After a while, Xing Hun, who had heard the whole story, also had a strange expression. He couldn't help but let his imagination run wild. He hurriedly asked, Are you sure about this? It's best if you have actual evidence. I don't have that. Yin Zhongjuan had a helpless expression. In fact, when his subordinates were buying medicine, they happened to see Dustless and Great Si Ming coming out of the inn. As for what happened, no one knew the details. Forget it. Even if there's no evidence, I can still take the opportunity to get rid of Great Si Ming. Also Zichen, why does he look so suspicious? When Lord Donghuang mentioned about the marriage alliance with the Confucian school, I strongly opposed it. But anyway, I heard that the kid is going to meet Lord Donghuang today. I can take the opportunity to get rid of Great Si Ming and Zichen. Xing Hun's eyes flashed coldly. Ever since he used Great Si Ming as a meat shield, their relationship had almost broken down. Even though Great Si Ming still called him Lord Xing Hun, they were still not on good terms. He could take the opportunity to meet Donghuang Tai to expose Dustless and Great Si Ming and get rid of them. Chapter 1877. Originally, Xing Hun was extremely unhappy with the two of them. He had always wanted to attack them, but did not have a suitable excuse. This time, Yin Zhongjuan provided a good reason. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. How could Xing Hun, who had been thinking of taking revenge on Dustless and Great Si Ming, let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Speaking of which, I also want to see who Zichen of the Confucian school is. Your Excellency East Emperor actually wants to meet him personally. I have never heard of such a thing before. Yin Zhongjuan's tone was filled with anticipation. He wanted to see Dustless's face. Maybe you will be disappointed after you see him. Xing Hun looked at Yin Zhongjuan with dissatisfaction. Then he flicked his sleeves and left angrily. If possible, Xing Hun hoped to have a big fight with Dustless to defeat him and show him what a real genius was. Is this still the Lord Xing Hun who has a big belly? Seeing this, Yin Zhongjuan was truly speechless. He was quite depressed. In the past, Xing Hun wasn't so petty. He was extremely magnanimous. Now he seemed to have changed into a different person. He was extremely petty. Especially when he mentioned Wu Qin, his face turned gloomy. On the other side, when Dustless woke up again, the sun had already set. Dustless and young Si Ming climbed out of the warm blankets. Their faces were still filled with unconcealable laziness. Especially young Si Ming, who was the strangest. Her face was flushed and her temperament was completely different from before. She even had a hint of seductiveness. The coexistence of purity and seductiveness. The fusion of ice and fire. She is like a fairy sent by the heavens. Looking at the clothed young Master Ming, Wu Chun was moved. Occasionally he could see her white skin through her careless movements. It stretched as far as the eye could see, reaching the deepest part of her body. Dustless, who was distracted, could not help but let his imagination run wild. He could not help but let out a strange laughter. Hee. The sudden laughter made young Master Ming shiver. Her beautiful eyes blinked a few times, and when she turned around and saw Dustless giggling at her, young Master Ming angrily threw a pillow at him. Hurry up and get up. It's already evening. His Excellency Donghuang said that he would only be free in the morning. There was a hint of regret and self-blame in young Master Ming's voice. She had lost track of time when she was with Dustless. Before she knew it, it was already evening. If it weren't for the servant's reminder, she might still be sleeping playing. What are you afraid of? Do you think the Eastern Emperor Tai will punish us? I'm a disciple of the Confucian school, and the third master at that. He doesn't have the qualifications to criticize me. Dustless's seemingly lazy tone carried a trace of arrogance. It's just East Emperor Tai. I've already given him enough face by taking the initiative to meet him. Dustless murmured to himself, ignoring young Master Ming, whose pretty face had darkened. Shut up. Young Master Ming glared fiercely at Dustless, then looked around. After making sure that no one was around, she knelt down beside Dustless and said seriously, "In the school of Yin-Yang, His Excellency Dong Huang is a godlike existence." A godlike existence? That means he's not a god. But why don't I see you being so respectful when you see me a god? Why is there such a huge difference between people? Dustless's tone carried a trace of resentment. It seemed that he was extremely unhappy with young Master Ming's attitude. "Oh, you're quite arrogant, aren't you?" At this moment, a cold laugh filled with hostility suddenly came from outside the door. Ka 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 ka. Immediately after, the tightly shut sliding door was suddenly restrained by some kind of force and split open. A young man with an evil aura all over his body walked in. "Shorty, who let you in without anyone's permission?" Dustless stared at this person with a trace of annoyance in his eyes. There was also a hint of mockery and playfulness. This person was the left guardian of the school of Yin-Yang, Xing Hun. "Shorty?" Hearing this, Xing Hun was stunned for a moment. He instinctively turned around and saw that he was alone. Where was the Shorty that Dustless had mentioned? Could it be? "You bastard!" A sinister look flashed across Xing Hun's eyes. He was enraged and reprimanded. "The Shorty that you're talking about, don't tell me it's me?" Xing Hun purposely emphasized the word protector, in an attempt to make Dustless understand the difference in status between them. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Dustless only laughed indifferently. Naturally, he could hear the underlying meaning in Xing Hun's words. He said disdainfully, "Silly boy, you didn't hear wrongly. The Shorty that I'm talking about is you." "How dare you?" Xing Hun was enraged. A purple air blade immediately shot out from between his hands. "Lord Xing Hun, please remember that Zichen was invited here by His Excellency the Eastern Emperor." Seeing that Xing Hun was about to take advantage of this opportunity to make things difficult for him, young Master Ming instantly transformed into a light breeze and stood in front of Dustless like a wall. Her cold and indifferent expression had returned to its usual aloof self. "Get out of my way, young Master Ming. You know my character. Anyone who stands in my way will die." Xing Hun's face was distorted as he shouted angrily, "I hate it when people call me Shorty." Even if he was really short, there was no need to say it out loud. It would hurt his pride. "Shorty, Shorty, Shorty." Hearing that Xing Hun hated it when people called him Shorty, Dustless immediately went overboard and repeated the words Shorty, like a repeater. Xing Hun finally lost his temper. He was one of the protectors of the school of Yin-Yang after all. Being called a Shorty was a blatant slap to his face. Chapter 1878. Young Master Ming turned her head and stared at Dustless. Her beautiful eyes glowed. She couldn't help but admire Dustless's fearless spirit. He knew what Xing Hun hated the most, but he still dared to attack him. He must be tired of living to force Xing Hun to attack. "Young Master Ming, get out of my way." Xing Hun roared furiously. Due to his extreme anger, his eyes were bloodshot. "This is impossible. Zichen is..." Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Before young Master Ming could finish her sentence, the purple air blade swept towards her from the side. Even young Master Ming was within the attack range. This brat, he's so young, but his heart is so vicious. Is he planning to kill young Master Si Ming as well? Wu Chen could not help but admire Xing Hun's viciousness when he sensed the chi blade that was a few meters long sweeping towards him from the left. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. His right hand shook slightly, and a large amount of light flashed. High-density photons were compressed, and a divine sword that could cut through metal like mud appeared. Heavenly sword of gathering clouds. Aiming at the fatal air blade, Dustless smirked and dashed in front of young Master Ming. "Don't embarrass yourself with such a small trick. This kind of weak air blade can only be used to slaughter pigs." Dustless sneered. He raised the heavenly sword of gathering clouds in his hand and mocked, "I know a good chef. He specializes in providing food for our Confucian school. If I recommend you to slaughter pigs for him, you will definitely be a VIP. Pig slaughtering king Xing Han." Hearing this, young Master Ming couldn't help but laugh. She rolled her eyes at Dustless. "Disappear." Dustless raised the heavenly sword of gathering clouds up high. He aimed at the incoming air blade and slashed it down without hesitation. Crack crack. The seemingly ferocious chi blade collapsed in an instant. The powerful force directly crushed it into pieces like a mirror. "You this bastard!" Xing Han was furious. His arm was numb from the impact, and his pale face was filled with malevolence. He clenched his fists so tightly that his 5 fingers were seeping into his palms, causing blood to drip out. Dustless actually wanted him to slaughter a pig. This was simply unforgivable. He even said something about the pig slaughtering king, Astral Soul. How preposterous! This was a chi blade used to kill people, not to slaughter pigs. "You will pay for your arrogance." Xing Han stared eerily at Dustless. There was a hint of morbid madness in his words. His eyes were so frightening that they looked as if they were about to pop out. "If you could make me pay a heavy price, then you wouldn't need to use your mouth. Speak with your strength." Dustless hooked his finger and taunted. "Huh." With a low growl, a thick purple chi blade appeared between Xing Han's hands once again. This time, it was even more ferocious than before. Even young Master Ming, who was standing behind Dustless, was sweating profusely. "Lord Xing Han wants to use." "Don't call him Lord Xing Han. Call him little retard." Dustless turned his head and looked at young Master Ming sternly. He reminded her, "If you call him Lord, then I, who is about to marry you, will be in trouble as well. Don't call him Lord. Call him little retard. Go to hell." The scale and momentum of the chi blade, as well as the sharpness of the chi blade, swept towards Dustless from both sides. It was as terrifying as a guillotine. If he was hit, he would definitely be chopped into pieces. Childish. Seeing this, Dustless let out a breath of cold air. Just as he was about to attack, he suddenly felt young Master Ming tugging at the corner of his clothes. "Where are you feeling unwell?" Dustless asked suspiciously when he saw young Master Ming's pale face. "I'm fine. Be careful." Young Master Ming forced a smile. Her beautiful face squeezed out a sad but beautiful smile. Looking at Xing Han's twisted face, her face lost all color. This sharp chi blade was not only going to kill Dustless, it was going to kill her as well. Young Master Ming's heart turned cold at the thought of it. After all, she had worked with Xing Han for many years. This fellow did not even blink when he killed his own people. Zichen. Looking at the man in front of her, young Master Ming felt a warm current in her heart. The one who had stepped forward now was her old enemy, not Xing Han. "Lord Xing Han, if the two of them are killed, even if His Majesty Donghuang trusts you, your end will be very miserable." At this moment, an ethereal and magnetic voice suddenly sounded. It was as if it was filled with magic. Xing Han's invincible attack immediately stopped. Everyone looked at the source of the voice, and 2 graceful figures came into view. "So it's Lord Moon Goddess and Great Sea Ming." Xing Han retracted the evil look on his face and said with a fake smile, "I didn't expect Lord Moon Goddess to be so bored to come to such a place. Don't you need to help Jiru Qianlong research the illusory sound treasure box?" "Lord Xing Han, you don't have to worry about this." Moon Goddess responded to Xing Han indifferently. Then she looked at Dustless and young Master Ming and said, "His Majesty Donghuang has been waiting for you for a long time." "Is that so? Then I'll take my leave." Dustless stretched and looked at Xing Han mockingly. Then he left with young Master Ming. "Brat, consider yourself lucky this time. If Moon Goddess had not come out to put out the fire, you would have been thrown into the sea to feed the fish." Xing Han snorted coldly when he saw Dustless's smug face. "I think Lord Xing Han has misunderstood something." Moon Goddess glanced at the arrogant Xing Han, and a trace of contempt appeared on her pretty face. "I'm not here to help Zichen and young Master Ming out of their predicament." "Then who is it for?" Xing Han asked in surprise. It seemed that there was no one else other than himself. Of course it's for you, Lord Xinghun. If I had not appeared here, you would have been cut into pieces by Dustless. Chapter 1879. You. Hearing this, Xinghun's expression changed drastically. The anger that he had been suppressing once again swept out like a storm. Ka. Large amounts of true qi leaked out in all directions. Even the rooms on both sides had cracks visible to the naked eye. With a ka sound, they shook as if they could collapse at any time. Even you are looking down on me? You actually think that I am not his match? Xinghun was enraged. Being looked down upon by his sworn enemy was a huge blow to his heart. Give me a reasonable explanation, Moon Goddess. Xinghun clenched his fists tightly. If not for the fact that Dong Huangtai was about to gather all of them, Xinghun would not have minded staying behind to fight with Moon Goddess. Lord Xinghun, what I said is the absolute truth. Facing Xinghun's terrifying aura, Moon Goddess did not move. A mysterious power exploded from her body, protecting her unscathed. She was not affected by Xinghun's aura at all. Truth. What a joke. Hearing this, Xinghun's lips curled into a smile. He laughed disdainfully. What is truth? Seeing it with your own eyes is the truth. The victor had not been decided just now, but you said that I am not as good as Zichun. Lord Moon Goddess, are the rumors true? Are you really having an affair with Zichun? Why are you so biased towards him? You Moon Goddess's calm face lit up. Then she glanced at Xinghun apprehensively. The murderous aura that had already spread out disappeared without a trace. Moon Goddess was not dustless and did not have the ability to suppress Xinghun. If the two of them fought, one was the left guardian while the other was the right guardian. Both sides would probably be injured in the end. You have already lost to him once. After saying that, the moon god disappeared without a trace. I have already lost to him? Hearing this, Xinghun's thoughts turned back and realized that Zichun was not in his mind. Nonsense, I have already lost to Dustless once. As for this Zichun, it was the first time I saw him at the Little Saint's Manor. Xinghun's voice contained a great amount of power. Even though the moon deity had already disappeared, his voice still reached her ears. That's why that guy thinks you're childish. Maybe you'll become a butcher who slaughters pigs. That kind of profession really suits you. Anyway, you don't have to use your brain. The moon goddess smiled and shook her head. The so-called Zichun was actually dustless. However, other than the moon goddess and Great Sea Ming, no one else in the school of Yinyang knew about this. On the way, he followed young Master Ming and brought Dustless to a special room. Creak. The ancient and heavy door was gently pushed open, and a wave of aura that belonged to the wilderness greeted him. The scene that entered his eyes caused Dustless to be stunned on the spot. Above his head, the sky was dotted with starlight, shining brightly and flashing incessantly. The floor beneath his feet was the same. The dark blue floor emitted a special light that would never be extinguished. Looking at this beautiful scene, Wu Chen was stunned for a moment. Is that the Eastern Emperor Tai? Fixing his gaze on the black figure furthest away, Dustless subconsciously squinted his eyes, which were as sharp as knives. This person was dressed in a black robe and had a black mask on his face. His entire body was strange and mysterious, and his aura was extremely powerful. Even though he was just standing there calmly, the entire world seemed to be under his control. Yo, with a friendly smile, Dustless raised his hand to greet him. You, young Master Ming's eyes widened. Dustless's attitude was extremely disrespectful to the Eastern Emperor Tai. Normally, in the school of Yinyang, who would dare to talk nonsense with the Eastern Emperor Tai like this? You're very special. A charming voice came from under the mask of the Eastern Emperor Tai. Special. Hearing this, Dustless was intrigued. He was indeed special in all aspects. However, even so, Dustless still wanted to hear the unique views of the Eastern Emperor Tai. Although this guy liked to put on airs, it was undeniable that the Eastern Emperor Tai had the ability to put on airs, especially in the field of astrology. Before that, I have something to tell all of you. A troublemaker's voice was heard. 4 figures slowly walked in from the door that Dustless and young Master Ming had just entered. Xinghun and Yueshan were in the lead, followed by Yin Zhongjuan and Great Sea Ming. This guy is really persistent. Is he here to cause trouble again? Wu Chen stared at Xing Hun's gloating face and knew that nothing good would come out of this fellow's filthy mouth. He was most likely here to find fault with them. Xing Hun, what's the matter? Dong Huangtai's indifferent tone had a rare hint of dissatisfaction. He seemed to hate Xing Hun for interrupting his conversation with Dustless. He was so rude. Hearing the tone of the Eastern Emperor Tai, Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan's expressions changed unnaturally. Xing Hun was the most envious as he looked at Dustless with jealousy. What ability does this fellow have to gain the recognition of your excellency Dong Huang? Xing Hun was burning with jealousy. His stomach was filled with bitterness and jealousy. The Eastern Emperor Tai was a godlike existence in the Yinyang school. Your Majesty Dong Huang, you may not know this, but a few days ago, a few of my subordinates bumped into Great Si Ming and Zichen coincidentally. The two of them were extremely close and even walked out of the same inn as if they were partners. Xing Hun looked at Great Si Ming and Dustless eerily. I suspect that the two of them are secretly plotting against the Yinyang school. They should be arrested immediately, and let me use the mind-reading technique to investigate thoroughly. Chapter 1880. Xing Hun's words were like a tornado, causing everyone to be dumbfounded. They all stared blankly at Wu Chen and Great Si Ming, especially Yun Zhongjuan, who stared at Xing Hun in disbelief. He's too rash. Xing Hun keeps saying that others are immature, but he's just SOSO himself. Damn it, I hope he doesn't drag me into this. Yun Zhongjuan complained incessantly. He looked at Xing Hun and Dustless. He could not afford to offend these two, especially Xing Hun, who was so rash. Yun Zhongjuan felt like he was implicated. He was so unlucky. Xing Hun, Dong Huangtai stared at Xing Hun. He was completely different from his usual calm self. Now he was anxious and his Dao heart was in a mess. Do the two of you know your crimes? Xing Hun's eyes swept over Wu Chen and Great Si Ming, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. Lord Dong Huang, I suggest that we immediately. Your suggestion? Who do you think you are? Dustless's sudden words made Xing Hun's face turn red. He shouted angrily, Zichun from the Confucian school, remember this. This is the Yinyang school and I am the left guardian. You have no right to speak. Just listen to me obediently. Ayaya, this kid is so fierce. Dustless ignored Xing Hun. So what if Xing Hun was the left guardian? He was still a kid. As the saying goes, to catch a thief, take the stolen goods. You can't just rely on your side of the story. Do you have any evidence to prove that I colluded with Great Si Ming? Dustless stared at Xing Hun, who looked embarrassed, and continued to mock him. If you don't, then you're framing me. That's right. Do you have any evidence? Dong Huangtai, Young Si Ming, Great Si Ming, Yueshan, and Yun Zhongjuan all looked at Xing Hun. Xing Hun's face twitched. Evidence? There was no evidence at all. Xing Hun never needed evidence to do anything. After capturing the enemy, he could use his mind-reading technique to look into their minds. Why would he need something as troublesome as evidence? It was completely unnecessary. Silence means there is no more? About 10 seconds later, Xing Hun stood there with an ugly expression on his face. Dustless scolded him angrily. You're so young, yet you don't learn good things. Instead, you're learning how to cheat, and steal. You deserve a beating. You bastard, watch your tone. Hearing this, Xing Hun's face turned green. He resisted the urge to vomit blood as his body trembled in anger. Dustless's words made it seem as if he was his son and deserved to be beaten. This fellow was too mean and infuriating. Besides, who said that I don't have evidence? I heard about this from Yun Zhongjuan. At this critical moment, Xing Hun glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and decisively betrayed him. That bastard Xing Hun. Yun Zhongjuan had a constipated expression on his face. He glared fiercely at Xing Hun from the corner of his eye as he cursed in his heart. This fellow is indeed the type to betray others. After getting the information from me, he immediately turned his back on me. Yun Zhongjuan, give me an explanation. Dong Huangtai looked at Yun Zhongjuan. The latter immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He lowered his head to look at the sinister Dong Huangtai, before subconsciously looking at dustless Yin Zhongjuan suddenly realized that he was being targeted by two hungry wolves. His life could be taken at any time. This was all because of Xing Han. Phew. Yin Zhongjuan took a few deep breaths. Now that things had come to this, he could only bite the bullet and say, Lord Donghuang, I heard this from a few of my subordinates. Zichen and Great Siming came out from an inn and had a very intimate conversation. So what? Before Yin Zhongjuan could continue his nonsense, Great Siming retorted first. Yin Zhongjuan, you're deliberately targeting me with your words. Everyone knows that Lord Xinghan and Yin Zhongjuan are very close. Are you implying that the two of you are homosexual? Upon hearing this, Xinghan and Yin Zhongjuan both vomited blood. 100,000 alpacas' army ran through their minds. They glared at Great Siming furiously and shouted at the same time. Great Siming, don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you. What did he mean by homosexual? He was actually homosexual. I didn't expect Great Siming to be so eloquent. If this continues, I'm afraid I don't need to interrupt. Great Siming alone can make Xinghan and Yin Zhongjuan speechless. Dustless laughed in his heart. The phrase homosexual made Dustless secretly admire Great Siming. To tell you the truth, everyone, there's a reason why Zichen and I met at the inn. The quick-witted Great Siming looked at Xinghan and Yin Zhongjuan and continued. Although Zichen is a member of the Confucian school, he has a good impression of the school of Yinyang. He met me privately because Zichen wants to join the school of Yinyang and pledge his loyalty. Join the school of Yinyang and pledge his loyalty. Upon hearing this, Yin Zhongjuan and Xinghan's faces darkened. They were so angry that they laughed and cursed Great Siming in their hearts. If he really liked the school of Yinyang, why would the little sage Zhuang embarrass the school of Yinyang? This lousy excuse was too lousy. Zichen, is that so? Dong Huangtai was intrigued. He asked expectantly. Do you really like the school of Yinyang? Of course. If you don't believe me, I can bring her along. After sneaking a glance at Great Siming, Dustless promised Dong Huangtai. If you don't believe me, I can marry Great Siming as well to show my loyalty. She can be in charge of monitoring me. Very good. Upon hearing this, Dong Huangtai nodded and reluctantly accepted Great Siming's words. If Dustless hated the school of Yinyang, he wouldn't have brought a wolf into the house and married Great Siming. Then Dong Huangtai looked at Xinghan and Yin Zhongjuan unhappily. His tone was filled with undisguised blame. How can you be so rash? You too have embarrassed the school of Yinyang. Chapter 1881. Upon hearing Dong Huangtai's reprimand, Yin Zhongjuan and Xinghan felt extremely miserable, especially Yin Zhongjuan. He was clearly implicated by Xinghan. If Xinghan had not dragged him down with him, Yin Zhongjuan would have chosen to watch silently. The moon goddess, the Great Siming, and the young Siming are all standing on Zichen's side. How can we win against them? Yin Zhongjuan looked at Xinghan resentfully and lowered his head in anger, pushing all the blame to Xinghan. If it wasn't for this fellow's recklessness, he wouldn't have been scolded as well. But Lord Donghuang, Xinghan sorted out his thoughts and continued, we can't possibly clear ourselves of suspicion just because of Zichen's words. This fellow is full of mysteries. Although he is a Confucian disciple, his way of doing things, the moves he uses, and his personality are completely different from a Confucian disciple. Moreover, he was secretly brought into the Confucian school by Zhang Liang and Zhang Zifang. When mentioning Zhang Liang, Xinghan deliberately emphasized the word Zhang Liang. His eyes flickered with an inexplicable light. What an ignorant person! Without waiting for others to speak, Dustless took the lead to fire at Xinghan. This can only mean that Zhang Liang thinks that I have a bright future. Zhang Liang is tempted and thinks that I can bring the Confucian school to greater heights. It's such a simple matter. Simple matter? Yin Zhongjuan's lips trembled as he said seriously. Sir, do you think that this is a trivial matter? However, the Yinyang school must treat it seriously. A small hole can destroy a 1,000-mile dike. Often, a careless crack can become a fatal wound if ignored for a long time. Yin Zhongjuan is right. If you feel that you have a clear conscience and want to prove your innocence, let me use mind reading. Nonsense. However, Dustless was not to be trifled with. He directly interrupted Xing Hun's speech. This damned bastard. I can't let him off so easily. Xing Hun's expression was firm, but his heart was like a volcano erupting. He could not remember how many times he had been interrupted by Dustless. This guy was too despicable. Since you like to use mind reading on others so much, why don't I use it on you first? Dustless asked with a smile. That's only fair. You can read minds. Everyone from the school of Yinyang was flabbergasted as they stared at Dustless. It's different from mind reading, but the meaning is the same. I can see the other party's memories. Dustless replied frankly. Then he looked at Xing Hun and Yin Zhongjuan and asked, "Which one of you will go first?" When they heard this, Yin Zhongjuan and Xing Hun looked at each other and took a step back in unison. Everyone had their biggest secret. If Dustless found out, what would happen? Yin Zhongjuan, I haven't been feeling well recently. I'll let you handle this matter first. Xing Hun glanced at Yin Zhongjuan and spoke in a commanding tone. This damned bastard. Yin Zhongjuan almost slapped him when he heard that. You're the one who caused this trouble, and now you want me to take the blame for you? What a joke. This matter arose because of Lord Xing Hun. It has nothing to do with me. Yin Zhongjuan shook his head and rejected decisively. Xing Hun was the one who caused this trouble. Why should he take Xing Hun's place and let him see his memories? There's no harm in giving it a try. If the heavens protect you, you'll be safe. If you're lucky, you'll at most become an idiot. If you're unlucky, you'll end up dead. Dustless gave them a look that said, "Don't worry." Huh. It would have been better if Dustless hadn't said anything. Now that he said it, Xing Hun and Yin Zhongjuan cowered even more. What if you slip up? What if the two of us become idiots? Xing Hun questioned eerily. He shook his head in his heart. If Dustless deliberately turned them into idiots, they wouldn't even have a place to cry. Enough. This matter ends here today. Dong Huangtai's sullen voice exploded in Xing Hun and Yin Zhongjuan's ears. The two of them immediately lowered their heads in shame like obedient children. Xing Hun, you've stirred up trouble for no reason. The position of the left guardian of the Yinyang family is no longer suitable for you. Dong Huangtai's sudden words made Xing Hun's head feel stuffy. Not only that, but the others were also caught off guard. Even if Xing Hun had really made a mistake, he wouldn't have been stripped of his position as guardian, let alone an ordinary quarrel. Well, Dong Huang Pavilion Xing Hun opened his mouth, but Dong Huangtai didn't give him a chance. He cut off Xing Hun's future with one sentence. Zichen, you'll be in charge of this position in the future. Dong Huangtai's tone was faint but contained a great deal of determination. It seemed like he wasn't just saying it casually. No problem. Just leave it to me. Dustless chuckled and immediately patted his chest. Although he wasn't interested in the position of guardian, he immediately accepted it when he saw Xing Hun's black face. It wasn't a bad idea to annoy this fellow. Fortunately, you didn't get too involved. When Yin Zhongjuan saw this, he looked pitifully at the dazed Xing Hun. This fellow had dug his own grave. In the end, he was slapped a few times by Dustless and lost all his face. What was even more tragic was that even the position of the left guardian of the Yinyang family had been stripped by Dong Huangtai. The funniest thing was that the position of guardian had fallen into the hands of Xing Hun's archenemy. Cough, cough, cough. When he saw that everyone was still in a daze, Dustless deliberately coughed twice. Under everyone's puzzled gaze, he walked towards the petrified Xing Hun with his hands behind his back. Fellow, are you here to show off? Xing Hun roared in a hoarse voice as he resisted the urge to tear Dustless into pieces. I'm here to annoy you. Dustless smiled and nodded. Then he circled around Xing Hun and ordered, Xing Hun, hurry up and greet the left guardian. Chapter 1882. When he heard Dustless's words, Xing Hun could no longer maintain his composure. His face instantly twisted like an evil spirit, and his hands involuntarily emitted a purple demonic light. A divine air blade that could cut through metal like mud instantly shot out. Brat, do you know that there is a saying that goes, the higher you stand, the harder you fall? Put away that annoying smile of yours. Xing gritted his teeth and roared. His hissing voice was like a venomous snake spitting out its tongue, sending chills down one's spine. The light from the air blade in his hands became increasingly intense and filled with a frightening destructive power. It was not difficult to see that if not for Dong Huangtai's presence, Xing would have attacked long ago. Dustless was simply too arrogant and did not take him seriously at all. Of course I know. Dustless nodded in agreement. He looked at Xing with a mocking smile. It's good that you know. Xing grunted and retracted his gaze. His thoughts churned, and just as he was about to open his mouth and teach Dustless a lesson, the latter's words almost caused him to explode. Aren't you a living example, former guardian? Lord Xing, the higher you stand, the harder you fall. You should have a deep understanding of this saying, right? Xing cheeky words caused his old face to turn red with anger, as if he had been roasted. Zichen, you are playing with fire. You have only won one round temporarily, and there is still a long way to go in the future. Don't be too complacent. Xing warned in a low voice. Otherwise, if you lose too badly in the future, you will not be able to face anyone. You don't have to worry about that. Dustless turned a deaf ear to Xing words. They went in one ear and out the other. He was just a guardian, and he had only accepted it because he wanted to annoy Xing. Otherwise, even if Dong Huangtai gave him the position of the head of the Yinyang school, Dustless would not care. Cut the crap. Hurry up and greet Lord Protector Zichen. Dustless leaned close to Xing ear and said in a voice as soft as a mosquito, now that you've been stripped of your position as a guardian, you're just an ordinary disciple of the school of Yinyang. I'm a guardian. Hearing this, Xing was so angry that he felt dizzy and his entire body trembled. If you don't shout, I can expel you from the school of Yinyang. If you don't believe me, you can try. Dustless's expression was one of utter disdain. His words were laced with a thick threat as he taunted. At that time, you'll be a stray dog. You win. Hearing this, Xing hesitated for a while before finally compromising. He bowed slightly. Greetings to Guardian Zichen. When he said this, Xing heart was bleeding. This was his position and now it had been snatched away by his mortal enemy. Furthermore, he had to call him Lord Protector. Xing was about to explode from anger. Not bad. Dustless patted Xing head and gave a gratified smile. You're worth teaching. Not bad, not bad. When the other members of the school of Yinyang saw this scene, they smiled but did not say anything. Whether it was young Master Ming, Great Master Ming, or the cold Yueshan, they were all on Dustless's side. Especially Yueshan. He and Xing appeared to be on the same page, but were actually at odds with each other. There had been countless open and covert conflicts between them. Now that Xing had been stripped of his position as a guardian, what was he going to do in the future? The only person who felt that the situation had changed was Yin Zhongjuan. After all, he had been allies with Xing previously, and had discussed how to deal with Yueshan and Dustless in secret. Now, in the blink of an eye, this usually awe-inspiring guardian had been stripped of his position. All right, all of you can leave now. I have something to say to Zichen. Dong Huangtai ordered them to leave indifferently. His cold tone made it seem as if nothing had happened. Xing felt a chill in his heart. He had sacrificed his life for the school of Yinyang, but this fellow was so heartless in the end. Xing resentment towards Dong Huangtai grew. Now that the biggest boss of the school of Yinyang had spoken, Yueshan and the other members of the school of Yinyang took their leave. Only Dustless and Dong Huangtai were left. The atmosphere turned cold. I observed the stars at night. Ever since you appeared, the movements of the stars have undergone a huge change. Dong Huangtai's indifferent tone revealed a hint of shock. Small changes could be made, but the general trend could not be changed. This iron-like rule had actually changed when it came to Dustless. This was also one of the reasons why Dong Huangtai valued Dustless and chose to form an alliance with young Master Ming and the school of Confucianism through marriage. The strangest thing was that Dong Huangtai was shocked to discover that he had previously comprehended the news of the imminent demise of the school of Confucianism from the movements of the stars. However, the movements of the stars had changed recently, and the result almost made him vomit blood. Ever since Dustless joined the school of Confucianism, the situation had changed. The school of Confucianism would prosper, and the school of Yin-Yang would decline. The school of Confucianism would be fine, but the school of Yin-Yang would be in trouble. In the past, the school of Confucianism would perish, and the school of Yin-Yang would prosper. However, after Dustless joined the school of Confucianism, the situation changed. Dong Huangtai had no choice but to form an alliance with the school of Confucianism, hoping to change this sudden change. What happened next was even more shocking. Ever since he decided to form an alliance with Dustless through marriage, the movements of the stars had undergone a huge change. The school of Confucianism would prosper, and the school of Yin-Yang would prosper. This was the first time Dong Huangtai had encountered such a strange situation. From then on, he confirmed Dustless's uniqueness and indirectly tried to rope him in. As for Xing Hun, in Dong Huangtai's eyes, he was just a pawn. What was wrong with sacrificing a little for the school of Yin-Yang? Xing Hun should be happy. The world was cruel. Benefits came first. Xing Hun was used in an important position before because Dong Huangtai thought he had a future. Now that the school of Yin-Yang had a new blood, Dustless, Xing Hun's position became insignificant. Furthermore, this fellow had a grudge against Dustless. Chapter 1883. This world was a place where people chose to be chosen, abandoned, and abandoned. After the essence of any society was removed, what was left was the law of the jungle. If one's potential was not as good as others, they could only blame themselves for being useless if they were abandoned. Dong Huangtai felt that Dustless's future was greater than Xing Hun's, so it was necessary for him to abandon Xing Hun. To make a simple analogy, between heaven and hell, everyone would undoubtedly choose the former. Although Dong Huangtai was farsighted, he was still a normal human. Naturally, he would choose the former, heaven. With Xing Hun, who represented hell, it was better to meet him sooner rather than later. Of course. Old man, you're smart enough to choose the school of Yin-Yang so that you can continue living. Dustless laughed in his heart. Although he did not understand the profound philosophy behind astrology, there was only one thing that had never changed in these thousands of years. Absolute power rewrote the world. Even the stars that Dong Huangtai had comprehended leaned towards Dustless, let alone humans. How could Xing Hun not be abandoned? Damn it, damn it, damn it. How am I inferior to him? On the other side, Xing Hun was furious and puzzled. It was fine that others did not think highly of him, but even Dong Huangtai, who he respected the most, seemed to have abandoned him. As a guardian, he could not even compare to an outsider from the Confucian school. Thinking about his miserable situation, Xing Hun was furious. Xing Hun calmed down. Yun Zhongjuan looked at the gloomy Xing Hun and tried to persuade him. It was just a momentary mistake. Why take it to heart? If you're so dispirited, won't that make Zichen feel better? What did you call me? Xing Hun narrowed his eyes and cursed Yun Zhongjuan in his heart. In the past, he used to call him Lord Xing Hun. Now that Dustless had snatched the guardian position away from him, they were just two simple Xing Hun. I called you Xing Hun. Yun Zhongjuan stroked his beard proudly. His coarse old face was filled with contentment. When he saw Xing Hun's angry face, he felt extremely pleased. He thought to himself, does he really think that he's still the Lord Xing Hun of the past? What Lord Xing Hun? That was in the past. Now, Xing Hun was just an ordinary disciple of the school of Yin-Yang. His status was not as respected as before. This fence-sitter. When Xing Hun saw this, he was filled with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have taught Yun Zhongjuan a harsh lesson before he was stripped of his status. Xing Hun, although you have been stripped of your identity, we still have the same goal. We both have an enemy, the moon god. No, I should say that the number of enemies has increased. There is also Zichun and Great Siming who is close to him. Now even young Siming is one of his people. Yun Zhongjuan also stopped teasing Xing Hun. Thinking about the current situation, he was in a terrible fix. Come to think of it, the current school of Inyang had almost been unified by Dustless. At first glance, almost everyone was leaning towards Dustless. That's why we need to get closer. Why are we leaving? Before Yun Zhongjuan could finish speaking, a lazy voice came from behind him. Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han were both stunned. This mysterious voice didn't even make a sound when he walked. He was as silent as a spirit. For some reason, they thought that it was Dong Huang Tai. So it's Zichun. So it's Lord Zichun. Yun Zhongjuan smiled apologetically, and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. If Dustless had wanted to kill him just now, he would have succeeded and he would have become a headless corpse. What are the two of you discussing? Dustless looked at Xing Han and Yun Zhongjuan lazily and said meaningfully, Are you discussing how to deal with me? How dare I? Lord Zichun, just tell me what you want. I will do my best. Yun Zhongjuan immediately denied and winked at Xing Han at the same time. His meaning was obvious. Don't talk nonsense. Humph, what a villain. Seeing this, Xing Han snorted and glared at Yun Zhongjuan angrily before he left in a huff. He wasn't as good at flattering as Yun Zhongjuan, especially when the person who flattered him was his mortal enemy. I'm just a child. Please don't take offense, Lord Zichun. Yun Zhongjuan smiled sheepishly. In the past, when Xing Han was still a protector, he was naturally afraid of him. But now, although he was still a member of the Inyang school and was quite powerful, to put it bluntly, he was just an abandoned dog. I'm new and I'm short of manpower recently, so... Dustless's meaning was self-evident. The owner of the elusive mirage was Yun Zhongjuan, and he controlled all the resources on it. Short of manpower? That's easy. Just leave it to me. 50 or 100 people. The more the better. Guardian Zichun, you don't have to be so formal. After all, we're on the same side. Yun Zhongjuan said with a flattering smile. Do you really think I don't know what you're thinking? Don't be so self-righteous, idiot. Upon hearing this, Dustless put on a kind smile on his face, but sneered in his heart. He had heard Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han's plan clearly and hadn't missed a single word. Do you think the two of you can join forces to deal with me? Ignorant. You don't even know how to spell the word death. Go ahead and show off. Dustless was full of contempt for Yun Zhongjuan. He made up his mind that as long as this guy refined the elixir of immortality, he would send Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han to hell. I don't need so many people. I'm only short of one person. I heard that you have a few people from Shu Mountain under you, especially Yuziki. He's powerful and very obedient. Let me use him. Dustless looked at Yun Zhongjuan seriously, but the latter's face was stiff and his eyes were changing unpredictably. No one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 1884. Yuziki. When Yun Zhongjuan heard this name, his eyelids twitched violently. If it was an ordinary person, he could still make the decision. However, Yuziki was not an ordinary person. He had a powerful background. This person came from Shu Mountain and was extremely hostile to the Inyang school. Of course, Yuziki was not the only one. To a certain extent, the entire Shu Mountain was the enemy of the Inyang school. Lord Zichun wants Yuziki? Yun Zhongjuan's cheerful smile disappeared. He sized up Dustless warily and asked, Lord Zichun, do you know who he is? He's from Shu Mountain, but... Dustless glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and asked calmly, What about the people from Shu Mountain? Am I no match for him, Yun Zhongjuan? That's not the case. Yun Zhongjuan quickly denied it. Even though he had not seen Dustless fight with his own eyes, there was no doubt about his strength. Dong Huang Tai would never find a useless idiot to be the Inyang school's left guardian. To be honest, Shu Mountain is one of the great enemies of the Inyang school. We can't let our guard down, Yun Zhongjuan advised. So Lord Zichun, you should find another suitable candidate. No. Dustless shook his finger and said in an unquestionable tone, I like people who are rebellious. I'll take him. If Yun Zhongjuan refuses again. Gulp. When Yun Zhongjuan heard this strange laughter, his heart skipped a beat. Then, A sense of foreboding that went deep into his soul instantly spread throughout his body and mind. If you refuse me again, I'll have to ask Lord Donghuang to make the decision. When he mentioned Donghuang, Dustless had a gloating smile on his face. That be asterisk starred. When Yun Zhongjuan heard this, the corners of his mouth twitched violently. He gritted his teeth so hard that they almost broke. Yun Zhongjuan was not an idiot. Based on the current situation, Donghuang Taiyi valued Dustless very much. He valued Dustless even more than the moon god. If he called Donghuang Taiyi out for such a trivial matter, he would definitely be scolded. Dustless was Donghuang Taiyi's favorite person, so the chance of him being scolded was zero. Therefore, the unlucky person was naturally Yun Zhongjuan. Lord Zichen must be joking. It would be disrespectful to disturb Lord Donghuang with such a simple question. Yun Zhongjuan looked terrified and immediately promised Dustless, "I will definitely take Yuziki there. Even if he doesn't agree, I will tie him up and send him there." "Hee, then I'll have to trouble you, Yun Zhongjuan. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first." Dustless patted Yun Zhongjuan's shoulder and left with a satisfied expression. Preposterous. After a while, Yun Zhongjuan saw that Dustless had completely left. He stomped his feet angrily, and his eyes were gloomy. After staying in the Inyang school for so long, this was the first time he had been threatened. Look at the smug look on his face. "Yun Zhongjuan, I reckon the next unlucky person will be you." Dustless had just left when Xinghun slowly walked out from the dark compartment with a puzzled look on his face. "Yuziki? What does he want with this person? Who knows? Maybe he's curious about the people from Shu Mountain sect." Yun Zhongjuan didn't understand either. He lowered his head and thought for a while before answering. "Curious?" Xinghun glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and said in a deep voice, "Yun Zhongjuan, if you want to bring someone down, you can't let go of any details so easily. Let me monitor the secret relationship between them." In a room with a decent environment, Dustless tasted the fragrant tea contentedly. His eyes were narrowed into crescents, and his expression was one of enjoyment. There was even a trace of pleasure in his blurry eyes. He looked over and saw that young Master Ming was gently massaging Dustless's temples. "Didn't you say that I would help you ask for Yuziki?" Young Master Ming looked at Dustless in confusion and said worriedly, "Also, you tricked Xinghun this time. He definitely won't let this go easily. My identity and status are different now. I naturally don't need your help with this kind of thing." As for Xinghun, Dustless laid lazily on young Master Ming's knees and said disdainfully, "It's nothing to worry about." Creak! The sliding door was suddenly opened and two figures walked out of it. "Guardian Zichen, you really know how to enjoy life." These two people were Moon Deity and Great Sea Ming. The one who spoke was Great Sea Ming. She opened her beautiful eyes slightly and saw the faint smile on young Master Ming's face. She seemed to be very satisfied with her current life. A trace of jealousy flashed across Great Sea Ming's eyes. Enjoy life? Perhaps so. One must enjoy life to the fullest. Now that Xinghun has become a stray dog, a celebration is necessary. On the other hand, why do the two of you look so serious? Looking at the serious Moon Deity and Great Sea Ming, Dustless asked, "Did something big happen that troubled the two of you? Why don't you tell me about it? After all, we're all in the same boat now." "It's not a big problem. Zhang Liang is here," Moon Deity said without hesitation. "As for why he's here to look for you, the third head of the Confucian school." If it was in the past, Zhang Liang would definitely not come to the elusive mirage. However, things were different now. The Confucian school and the school of Inyang were connected by marriage. All the conflicts in the past had disappeared. Although Zhang Liang was stripped of his position as the third head, the school of Inyang still valued him. Zhang Liang. Hearing this, Dustless frowned and then sneered. Zhang Liang and Xinghun are really a pair of brothers. Both of them have their positions stolen by me. They probably hate me to the core. On the Confucian school's side, Dustless took Zhang Liang's position and became the third head of the Confucian school. On the school of Inyang's side, he took Xinghun's position and became the left guardian. Chapter 1885. After thinking for a while, Dustless finally decided to meet Zhang Liang. If he avoided meeting him, people would gossip about him. After all, he couldn't stay on the Mirage for too long. He would have to return to the Little Saint Manor sooner or later. Zifeng, what's up? The Mirage had just docked at the shore when Dustless got off the boat leisurely with a warm smile on his face. Seeing Dustless's bright smile, Zhang Liang knew that Dustless was living a carefree life on the Mirage. He couldn't wait for Dustless to be beaten up by the Yinyang school so that this marriage would be cancelled. This is... Seeing young Master Ming behind Dustless, Zhang Liang's face froze. You mean her? Pointing at young Master Ming, Dustless held her soft hand. This is young Master Ming, my wife who hasn't married into the family yet. Come, call me husband. Wu Qin grinned at young Master Ming, beaming with joy. Hearing this, young Master Ming's face turned as red as blood. Her body temperature also rose rapidly. She remained silent for a few seconds. Young Master Ming is shy. Seeing this, Dustless smiled but didn't say anything. Then he lowered his head and whispered in young Master Ming's ear. What's done is done. It's only a matter of time before you call me husband. Also, this Zhang Liang is my archenemy. Do you want to embarrass me? Young Master Ming. Dustless tried his best to persuade her, but his eyes were full of confidence. Although they had only known each other for a few days, Dustless basically understood young Master Ming's temper and personality. Although she looked cold on the surface, she actually cared about others. Of course, she only cared about her own people. All in all, in front of other men, especially Dustless's enemies, young Master Ming would never embarrass him. Husband, husband. Young Master Ming's face was flushed red, but in the end, she still obeyed Dustless's arrangement. She opened her mouth and said, Husband, are you tired? Do you want me to massage your shoulders? Although it was very awkward, Nuanyuan's voice was real. At the same time, it wasn't hard to see that Xiao Ximing was sincere towards Dustless. If it was just an act, she wouldn't feel shy at all. It was just a deal. It was precisely because she was shy and embarrassed that she indirectly proved that this was real. Hee. Dustless was especially proud. He aggressively held Xiao Ximing's soft body in his arms and said, My wife, don't worry. I'm not tired at all. It's just that my back is a bit sore. You can rub it for me later. All right. Young Master Ming nodded obediently, her eyes filled with calmness, as if she was already used to it. Women in ancient times are so good. Why did moral values like the 3 obedience and 4 virtues disappear now? Dustless secretly complained, while secretly looking at Zhang Liang from the corner of his eyes. As expected, after hearing the conversation between the two, Zhang Liang's face froze. The relationship between the two of you is frightening. I have something to do at the moment, so I'll take my leave. Zhang Liang bowed slightly and left, looking very decisive. Hypocrite. Seeing Zhang Liang turn and leave, young Master Ming muttered. Young Master Ming wasn't an ordinary person. The moment Zhang Liang turned around, she saw the anger in his eyes. It was just that he didn't show it. Zhang Liang is indeed hypocritical. On one hand, he colluded with the Mo family. On the other hand, he has connections with Wei Zhuang. Recently, he even brought these two opposing forces together. Dustless nodded in agreement. Then, he held young Master Ming's waist and looked at the beautiful sunset. He said, Let's take a walk back to the Little Saint Manor. We have nothing to do anyway. Everyone saw the situation just now. I'm afraid that Dustless has completely sided with the Yinyang school. In a certain inn, many disciples of the Mo family were gathered. Everyone secretly looked at Dustless, who was talking and laughing with young Master Ming through the unlatched window. They were all furious, feeling that they had been betrayed. That traitor! The angry Big Hammer slammed the table and shouted. Our Mo family trusted him so much. That brat actually flirted with the Yinyang school. Big Hammer, you're mistaken about one thing. In the beginning, Dustless was neutral. He wasn't a member of the Mo family, nor was he a member of the Yinyang school. In the beginning, Wu Qin even stood on our Mo family's side, and saved our Mo family from danger several times. Old Man Ban sighed and continued. In the end, it's all our fault. Our methods weren't as good as the Yinyang school. That's why Dustless sided with the Yinyang school. Maybe our alliance with Wei Zhuang's quicksand caused Dustless to part ways with us. The two sides are irreconcilable. He killed many of Quicksand's people, but we allied with Wei Zhuang. I guess that guy is bitterly disappointed. Daoji hugged his hands and sighed. No matter what, Dustless has sided with the Yinyang school. From today onwards, he's our enemy. Gao Jianli's eyes were cold and sharp. Don't jump to conclusions. The respected old man Ban immediately expressed a different opinion. He said in a deep voice, although Dustless has a marriage alliance with the Yinyang school, he has no intention of doing anything to our Mo family. Let's wait and see for a while. What's more, we still have a trump card. Just then, old man Ban laughed strangely. He stroked his beard and said calmly, if the Yinyang school can rope in Dustless, we can too. Their trump card is young Master Ming, and we also have a trump card that's better than young Master Ming's. Could it be? The Mo family's eyes lit up. They said in unison, Miss Rong? Chapter 1886. That's right, the trump card old Ban was referring to was Duanmu Rong. Everyone in the Mo family knew about the relationship between Dustless and Duanmu Rong. They loved each other and loved each other. They had an advantage over the Yinyang school. I object. There were exceptions to everything. Even though everyone thought it was a good idea to marry Duanmu Rong and Dustless, there were also people who objected. And it was a very intense kind. Everyone followed the source of the voice and saw one of the leaders of the Mo family, Daoji, who was secretly in love with Duanmu Rong. That's normal. Those who knew the inside story weren't surprised. Everyone knew that Daoji was secretly in love with Duanmu Rong. Unfortunately, Daoji's love had always been one-sided. The minority obeys the majority. Objection is invalid. Old man Ban snorted, completely ignoring Robber Ji's feelings. What's more, none of us have the final say in this matter. It's just this old man's suggestion. The key is Miss Rong's decision. Daoji was speechless and lowered his head in embarrassment. Just as Master Ban said, the decision was in Duanmu Rong's hands. Compared to the Yinyang school, which had strict rules, the Mo family was very lax. The decision to marry Dustless was still in Duanmu Rong's hands. Old Ban was just making a suggestion. How dare you? Then why don't you give Shui? The infuriated Daoji suddenly shut his mouth. He did not say the word woman in the end because he discovered that a pair of eyes that contained monstrous murderous intent was sizing him up in an unfriendly manner. I was just kidding. Don't mind me. Daoji smiled. The owner of the cold gaze was Gao Jianli. He'd already unsheathed Frosty. Even the ground was covered in ice. Everyone in the Mo family cursed Daoji for being an idiot. He wanted to give Xuenu to Dustless? Everyone thought it was a good idea. With Duanmu Rong and Xuenu, they could definitely get Dustless to help the Mo family again. However, do you think that I Gao Jianli don't exist? Gao Jianli glared at Robber Ji with a murderous look. It was only when the latter's hair stood on end that Gao Jianli retracted his gaze. It's up to you how you want to deal with this matter. I'll go back first. It was no wonder that Gao Jianli was so angry. He worked himself to the bone every day for the Mo clan, and now, this group of bastards actually wanted to give the Snow Lady to Dustless for a marriage alliance. He already disliked Dustless from the start, and felt that he was extremely suspicious. Now this group of bastards wanted to sell him out. I treat you guys as my brothers. How dare you help Dustless make me a cuckold? Gao Jianli walked out of the inn, feeling extremely depressed. Even though there was no concrete progress between him and the Snow Maiden, everyone knew about their relationship. These B***stards actually wanted to help Dustless cheat on him. How despicable. Daoji, your mouth is really asking for a beating. Don't you know the relationship between Xiao Gao and the Snow Lady? Old Man Ban looked at Daoji in annoyance. This was his idea, and it had nothing to do with anyone else. However, Gao Jianli held a grudge against everyone else, and they were all implicated. Don't you know that I have a crush on Miss Rong? Daoji retorted unceremoniously. You. The Mo clan's commanders were all speechless and could only stare at him. Old Man Ban, who had a headache, didn't waste any more words. The specifics of this matter depended on Duan Murong's opinion. If she didn't agree, everything would be in vain. Late at night, Dustless also returned to the Sage Manor. The Mo clan's people also returned to their base deep in the mountains. They discussed how to deal with Dustless for most of the night. In the end, Old Man Ban had no choice but to ask Duan Murong for help. What? You want me to marry Dustless? You want to rope him in to help the Mo clan? Hearing Old Man Ban's idea, Duan Murong was stunned for a moment, and then she was filled with anger. Master Ban, has the Mo clan become so incompetent? You want to sacrifice me to save the Mo clan? Duan Murong's face was full of anger. Although she was quite loyal to Dustless, this was completely different. Miss Rong, don't be angry. This is just a discussion. Whether you agree or not, it's up to you. Old Man Ban spread his hands and smiled bitterly. I have no choice. You know the Mo clan's current situation better than I do. Duan Murong didn't speak. Her expression didn't change, but her resentment towards the Mo clan had already exploded. When you first formed an alliance with Quicksand, I was already against it. Dustless and Wei Zhuang have an irreconcilable grudge. Your alliance forced Dustless away, and you only have yourself to blame. Miss Rong, there are too many things in life that don't go your way. It's impossible to have the best of both worlds. I only hope that you can carefully consider this from the Mo clan's point of view. After saying this, Old Man Ban dragged his tired body and left. Maybe what Dustless said before wasn't all wrong. Duan Murong's eyes flickered. She suddenly remembered what Dustless had said before. Maybe they were wrong to oppose the Qin dynasty. Why could the Qin dynasty unify the world? It showed that Ing Zheng had great wisdom. Could this kind of hegemony be accomplished by just anyone? From this, she could see that Ing Zheng was extraordinary. Why were the other 6 countries destroyed by the Qin dynasty? Because their monarchs were too corrupt and incompetent. Take the deceased Prince Yan of the Mo clan, Yan Dan's father, for example. This guy was incompetent and caused the destruction of his country. How could he blame Ing Zheng? If he had great talent and bold vision, the Yan kingdom wouldn't have been destroyed. Moreover, the people living in the Yan kingdom at that time were very miserable. The so-called violent Qin dynasty was completely self-deceiving. The people living in the 6 countries under the Qin dynasty were much happier than before. Chapter 1887. Clap, clap, clap. Not only the Mo family, but even their enemy, Li Si, was also furious. He smashed one piece of exquisite porcelain after another. Are you sure about this? Li Si looked at the pale man in front of him with a murderous look. Lord Prime Minister, I'm sure you know how powerful the Luo net is. The scary-looking man cupped his fists and explained. This is most likely true. Clap, clap, clap. It would have been better if he hadn't said anything. After Zhao Gao finished speaking, Li Si angrily smashed a few more porcelain pieces. Where did that brat come from? How could he be so lucky? First, he was the 3rd head of the Confucian family. Now he is the left guardian of the school of Yinyang. His existence is a threat to me. I have to get rid of him. Li Si's eyes shone with a murderous gleam. Even the wild beasts were nothing compared to him. Although Li Si was knowledgeable and capable, he was excellent in all aspects. He could be said to be 1 in 10,000 able to govern the country. The Qin state could unify the 6 countries with the momentum of crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, which had a lot to do with him. However, no matter how powerful Li Si was, he was still one of the many living beings in the world. As long as one was a human, they would have their shortcomings. Jealousy was one of his biggest shortcomings. Han Fei was killed by him. Now there was an even more powerful Dustless. He was not only the 3rd head of the Confucian family, but also the left guardian of the school of Yinyang. As for the original guardian Xing Han, he had been kicked aside. The Luo net's intelligence was very powerful. Although no one knew that Dustless had become the left guardian of the school of Yinyang, Li Si and Zhao Gao were very clear about it. And there was another problem that worried Li Si the most. Young Master Fu Su seemed to like Dustless. Once Fu Su became the new emperor of the Qin state, Dustless would definitely soar. Dustless was also the third head of the Confucian family. The Confucian family, which had a grudge with Li Si, would also soar. My lord, how should we deal with that brat? Zhao Gao released his murderous aura and asked. Do you still need me to say it? Glancing at Zhao Gao, Li Si said coldly, of course it's best for this kind of person to disappear. But we can't let anyone find out that we did it. And, immediately after, Li Si's eyes suddenly narrowed. Don't send a good-for-nothing to embarrass me. The assassins that were sent last time were all killed by Dustless. This time, at least send me a few powerful ones. Understood, my lord. Zhao Gao nodded when he heard this, and then he quietly retreated. Li Si would not let go of anyone who could threaten his position, be it friend or foe. It took him too long to climb to the position of Prime Minister of the Qin state. Li Si would never allow a Dustless to appear out of nowhere and be appreciated by everyone. Lord Li, long time no see. At this moment, an incomparably sinister voice suddenly sounded out in the room. His expression immediately changed, and a hint of fear flashed across his face. This is... Li Si hurriedly turned his head, and was shocked to find a large sword shining with cold light at his throat. It could slit his throat at any time and end his life. So it's Mr. Wei Zhuang. After seeing the visitor, Li Si immediately greeted him with a fake smile. He tried his best to remain calm on the surface, but in his heart, he was already cursing the soldiers guarding the mansion. A bunch of useless trash. Wei Zhuang sneaked in and no one knows about it. Li Si was so angry that he cursed in his heart. Ever since the Mo family's mechanical city was defeated, Li Si and Wei Zhuang's Lu Sha parted ways. Both parties embarked on different paths, and Wei Zhuang's Lu Sha became a wanted criminal in the Qin state. Mr. Wei must have something important to discuss with you for a visit so late at night? Looking at Wei Zhuang's terrifying eyes, Li Si tried his best to remain calm. Prime Minister is indeed intelligent. Glancing at Li Si, whose forehead was covered in cold sweat, Wei Zhuang's face was full of ridicule. He thought to himself, it's said that the higher one's position is, the more afraid of death. This is indeed true. My purpose is very simple. Lifting his gaze slightly, Wei Zhuang stared at Zhao Gao, who had already disappeared, and said, tell me everything about your secret conversation. If you miss a single word, I will cut off one of your fingers. Hearing this, Li Si was terrified. Cold sweat dripped down like raindrops. He knew that Wei Zhuang was not joking. Although he was unwilling, he could only confess everything. At the same time, Dustless, who was resting in the little saint's manor, suddenly opened his eyes. He quietly felt the changes in his surroundings. His deep black eyes shot out a ray of light. This is interesting. After stretching his body, Dustless sat up. His gaze was slightly frozen as he stared at the half-closed door. He quietly waited for the assassin who was about to break in. The faintly discernible cold air drifting in the surroundings was too sensitive to Dustless. Who is it? I'm really looking forward to it. With a slight shake of his arm, a pure black strange long sword suddenly appeared in Dustless's hand. The shape of the sword was very strange, and it did not have a blade. On the surface, it looked like a blunt weapon. However, there was no doubt that it was a sword. It was a very famous sword, Ink Eyebrow. Ink Eyebrow was the inherited weapon of the Mo family. When Yen Dan was killed in the mechanical city, this weapon fell into Dustless's hands. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.